what do you got?
I think I can prove to a judge that both of these men had the mens rea.
What the hell is a mens rea?
It's a legal term the lawyers use. It just means the intention to commit a crime.
Okay, come on, let's go.
Mens rea?
Put the cuffs on him.
How could we have gotten mens rea? We take blood? Can you do it without taking blood? We both use condoms. How is this possible? I want to see a doctor. Can I have an independent blood test?
Hey, money!
I feel sick.
What are you doing?
Mens rea! Oh! Oh! My God! No!
Hey, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, everyone. It's me, Legal Vices. I'm here and I'm on time. Everything seems to be going in working order today. The stream has started. Everybody seems to be here in their proper places, so I think we're good to go. All right. Well, clearly I've recovered from last week's F It Friday. We had a very, very good stream. It was fun. We went for we went over 9 hours, I think. Nine hours and something. It's the longest stream I've ever done. That was pretty fun. I lost track of how many shots I had. I lost track around 18. I'm not sure how many shots I ended up with, and I think I owe the chat 2 shots. I don't think I got Alan's last shot, and there's between Alan's last shot and the end of the show, there's just kind of some rapid fire super chats coming in that I don't know if I read them or not. I have no recollection of it, but I don't think I did. So I think I owed like a generic shot and then a premium whiskey shot, and we'll get through that today. At some point, we'll kind of push pause here, and I'll read some super chats from last time, and then we'll just continue for the most part as normal. So there's those of you that are tuning in today wondering what happened to Maritime Monday. Because Monday we normally do maritime related things, ship collisions, ship accidents, ship disasters, ghost ships, strandings, things like that. That's normally what we do on Maritime Monday, but sometimes the regularly scheduled programs have to take a backseat to current events. And this is one of those. Right now we've got a lot of Idaho going on. We're still in early stages. The arrest has been made. The affidavit with part of the order to show cause. I mean, not the order to show cause, the probable cause for the arrest. All of that's going down. Now there's a whole bunch of speculation about there. There's a whole bunch of analysis going on, and we're going to look at some of that today. Maritime Monday will be back next week. So don't panic. Don't worry. Maritime Monday for today is being postponed by lots of Idaho. So we need to get out of the Polish sea captain's hat, and we need to get back into my normal hat. I need to get back into the Western Utah, Idaho hat. This is the hat I feel most comfortable. Well, one of my cowboy hats I feel most comfortable in. So anyway, yeah, we're going to be doing the Idaho thing today. Mac Turner says, I'm 70-30 that he is guilty / innocent. Well, that 30% of you is very generous. I do applaud the keeping of an open mind. That's an important thing. All right, we do have some initial super chats to clear here. The ones I was saving have been subsumed into the ether here. They've osmosized. Is that what we do? They've osmosisized into the ether. One of them is just gone forever because StreamYard sucks. There was here it is. I found it. Marv White, and I can't bring this up on the screen because StreamYard sucks. Marv White, member for 1 month of the Clean and Sober Crew, says, let's go. That's it. Let's go. And Alan being supremely jealous. I almost said jealous. And Alan being supremely generous starts us off today with a super chat of 100 Australian dollars. Which I believe is equivalent to about $1.35 in America. Just kidding. It's not that far off. So that's deeply appreciated, Alan. This is just some port wine. Some pre-game tawny port that I have to finish before we get into this. So Alan with another mega chat. And for those of you that know, $100 super chats get a shot of whiskey. So I owe One shot for Alan from last Friday, one shot to the rest of chat from last Friday, and now a shot from Alan right now. And we'll just use the same stuff we used last time. Let me clean out my glass here with some water. I know a lot of people, when they clean their glasses, they put water in it and then they throw the water out. Why not? It's wine flavored. Why would you do this? It's wine flavored water. Why would you throw it out? Just drink it. Hydrating and wine flavored. Got to take the cap off. All right. So, Alan, thank you so much for this again. We'll catch up on the Friday stuff in a little bit. But to start off our show, a wonderful, wonderful 1 ounce pour of my personal favorite desert island. If I could only drink one whiskey for the rest of my life, what would it be? Whiskey, Glenmorangie Signet. Truly a gem of a whiskey. Absolutely amazing chocolate notes and latte notes and coffee notes and orange. Oh, so good. Thank you, Alan. You are a gentleman and a scholar. Cheers to you. I hope this year continues to get better for you. Throughout the entire year, because you deserve nothing but the best. Great mod, great man, great human being. Cheers. Red Foxman, sorry, I was here before that message came, so I'm on time. Thank you so much for that super chat, Red Fox Moon. Ooh, the stash is tickling the nostrils today. Okay. All righty, we've got the super chat so far out of the way. That leads us to the last of the background items that we need to get cleared up before we jump into lots of Idaho news today. Oh, there's one more. No, that was one that Red just did. I'm just kind of scrolling down here to make sure I don't miss any of the super chats. Mods, thank you so much for being here. You can't do this without the mods. Chat, especially thank you for being here as well. Because without the chat, I got no reason to be here. So that is, your presence is deeply appreciated. Dragon's Treasure lurking around here. It's the new week. It's the new week, Dragon's Treasure. Put my tea in your envelope and send it on my way. I'm waiting. And anybody, and this is, see, I'm traumatized. I'm traumatized because there was a temporary shortage of tea envelopes to be sent to me because I ordered way too much. And I've been forced to wait a week for my tea. And I'm panicking because the Dragon's Treasure tea is amazing. Go to thedragonstreasure.com if you want some premium hand blended green teas. You can buy them loose leaf. You can buy them in tea bags. You can buy 20 grams, 50 grams, 100 grams, whatever size you want, whatever condition you want. And every month, the Dragon's Treasure tea offers you 60 gourmet teas, green teas, herbal teas, black teas. Amazing stuff. I'm just waiting for my order. I ordered about $180 worth of tea from him last week because it's that good. I love tea. I know my teas, and that's some top-notch stuff. And he's a great guy too, so why wouldn't you want to support him? Thanks for being here, the Dragon's Treasure. But the most important thing, well, not the most important thing, one of the most important things, the most important thing for me is that if you go to thedragonstreasure.com and you order tea, make sure you use code VICES, VICES, to get yourself a big, healthy discount on the teas. There you go. You can't beat that. All righty, folks. We are caught up on super chats. We're caught up on other chats. Now we just need to do the final thing. Those of you that are here, hit that like button. Make sure you hit that like button. Right now, there's 435 of you here, and only 223 of you have hit that like button. Shame, shame, shame. That means 210 of you, damn near 50% of you, have not done your job. So here's your task. Reach right down there. Hit that button, hit that like button, and then come over here and fill out our poll for the day. We have a poll every day. Today's poll deals with subscribing and liking, because you want to make sure you like the channel, like this video, and you definitely want to make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can watch more. So hit that like, hit that subscribe if you haven't already done so. And if you have done so, make sure you're still subscribed because YouTube. And then go over to take the poll. Today's poll, I'm ordering things. There is a reason you must hit like and subscribe.
The power of Christ compels you.
do it. Reach down there, hit that like button right now.
The power of Christ compels you.
You don't want to face the wrath if you don't hit that like button.
The power of Christ compels you.
Today's poll, says I hit the like button and I hit the subscribe button. One, like I hit like first and subscribe second. The second choice is I hit subscribe first and like second. The third choice is I already subscribed, so I just hit the like. The fourth choice is
the power of Christ compels you.
The power of Christ compels you. So go over there, hit that like button. Smash that like button, smash the subscribe button, do your duty, and then report back in the poll how and why you subscribed and why you hit the like button. All right, that's enough of nonsense and foolishness. Hey, Kurt. Kurt says it's way too early. Kurt, wake up, uncivil law, get out of bed, do your thing. Take on the day.
The power of Christ compels you.
All right. I promise I won't use that today again. Very much. Not too often. And I will give you my word that there will be, tranny fluid, you almost made me do it. I was going to say that I can guarantee you there will be no screaming goat and or sheep noises today. But then tranny fluid says, I'm a Zoroastrian. Oh, I was so close to saying I'm a Zooastrian and doing the goat noise, but I will hold back. All right. All right. There will be no goat noises today. All right, let's get into this. I'm done screwing around here because we have a bunch of people and lots more of you have hit that like button. So that is greatly, greatly appreciated. All right.
The power of Christ
compels you to move on. We're going back to Idaho today. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at tomorrow and Wednesday, Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to be looking at the interrogation videos for Sarah Boone, the alleged suitcase murderer. You know, she, as someone was pointing out earlier today on another stream, she's got a lot of baggage and her husband is in some of it, allegedly. Yeah, she's being charged with, I believe it's second-degree murder. It could be, I think no, it's first-degree murder. Never mind. Yeah, she's being charged with the bad murder for somehow her husband ended up in a suitcase, which she flipped over and made sure he couldn't get out of and proceeded to laugh at him. And her story to the policeman is that these two fine, upstanding adults were playing hide and seek. And then she got drunk and fell asleep and forgot about him and woke up and he was still in the suitcase dead. Yes, you know, did I say husband? Yeah, her boyfriend. They were together for a while. So yeah. Hide and go seek is the adult woman's theory of what happened. The police just sort of seem to have a different idea. So we're going to be watching the first interrogation or questioning that took place outside of her home on the morning of the reported murders. And then on Wednesday, we will be watching the in police station full-on interrogation of Sarah Boone. And then we'll give you some background on the information. Why are we doing this? Because her trial is scheduled to start at the end of this month. I believe it is on the 30th of this month. Let me check the oldie calendar here. Yes, it is supposed to start on Monday, January 30th. Her trial is supposed to begin. So we're gearing up for that. We'll be covering that. We'll be doing lots of fun things with that. But Thursday is, of course, O.J. Simpson Day. Friday, I don't know what we're going to do Friday. We got a lot of things to talk about. So Friday will probably be just another talk about things day. But today, our first story, our first update on Idaho is to sort of put things in a timeline. We've gone through the affidavit in support of the probable cause to arrest him and haul his butt back to Idaho. But it was done more in event-wise, going through the car, the search for the car, the pinging of the phone records, things like that. We're going to look at the timeline in an overall chronological order to sort of get an idea of what was happening and when. So I'm going to bring up that screen, and because I am me, I have loaded all of my screens in reverse order. So now I'm unreversing them. All right. Yahoo News, your greatest source for news. That's what we got going. We got Yahoo News to keep us here. All right. A newly I don't know what happens when I click X, I wonder. Oh, that's what happens when I click X. Let's not click X. That's a bad thing. All right. We don't need the video. A newly unsealed filing. Is this the right one? Yep. In the murders of 4 University of Idaho students includes several pieces of a puzzle that depict a blurry picture of what happened inside an off-campus house in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. Police believe that Bryan Kohberger fatally stabbed Kaylee Goncalves, Maddie Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Kernodle's boyfriend, Ethan Chapin, between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. The affidavit sort of seems to have it pointed right about 4:17 a.m. The time frame can be narrowed down to a 16-minute window between 4:04 a.m. and 4:20 a.m. The first time is when police see what they believe is Kohberger's white Elantra driving in the area, and the second time is when the same car is seen on a security camera speeding away. The famous picture. There's him going into jail. By about 4 a.m. on November 13th, the occupants of King Road House that night, the 4 victims and 2 survivors, identified in the affidavit as DM and BF, were asleep. So we've got them all starting to sleep around 4 a.m., except for Kernodle, who received a DoorDash delivery around that time, according to the affidavit. A 2015 white Hyundai Elantra, believed to be driven by Kohberger, is seen driving into the area, according to the affidavit. Police said it was the 4th time he passed by the house that morning, starting at 3:29 a.m. So again, that's every 10 minutes, essentially. A little less than every 10 minutes. So 4 times in 30 minutes, he's driven past the house. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When suspect vehicle 1, that's how the affidavit identifies the Hyundai Elantra, is suspect vehicle 1 is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road, the affidavit says. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a 3-point turn. Congratulations, he learned, he studied in driver's ed, I guess, and practiced the art of a 3-point turn, and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. The filing didn't include a specific time when Kohberger allegedly entered the house, but it included 3 major actions during this time frame. The first was DM waking up at about 4 a.m. to what sounded like Goncalves playing with her dog. But a short time later, DM said she heard who she thought was Goncalves saying something to the effect of, "There's someone here." Now, again, we talked about this a little bit last time when we were looking at the affidavit. There's someone here. 4 a.m. is also about the time the DoorDash guy arrived. So, oh, wow, look at me. I hate myself. We'll talk about what I just did in a minute if you haven't figured it out. We talked about this last time I did this. That there's someone here. This could mean, hey, there's someone here, like the DoorDash guy is here with the food I ordered, or it could mean there's someone in here that doesn't belong here. Which one of those is, we don't know because there's just no way of telling. You can't hear inflections from transcripts. You can't hear inflections from statements about other people. So was it, hey, there's someone here, or there's someone here? I mean, it could be either way or anywhere in between. And if you haven't noticed, I accidentally stopped stop the poll. We'll re-up the poll here in just a little bit when I finish this particular article. A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Kernodle's phone showed this could also have been Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake. Now, see, this article said that everybody was asleep by 4, except for Goncalves. Now it's saying, well, Kernodle was also awake because she was on TikTok at approximately 4:12 a.m. So yeah, is she, we don't know who is talking. We don't know what they're talking about. It's just one of these unfortunate realities. DM looked out of her bedroom but didn't see anyone. She opened her door again when she heard crying from Kernodle's room and a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." That's just kind of creepy. And then finally, she opened her door a third time and saw a male figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking toward her, according to the affidavit. That to me is the creepiest part of this. That's just creepy. She described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past DM as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. DM locked herself in a room after seeing the male. She told police that she didn't recognize him. A security camera located less than 50 feet from Kernodle's bedroom picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud, and a dog can be heard barking. Goncalves' dog was found in her bedroom when police responded later that day. And then the white Elantra, which hadn't been seen since 4:04 a.m., drives from King Road at a high rate of speed, the affidavit said. Kohberger was ultimately arrested in late December in his parents' Pennsylvania home and then extradited to face charges in Moscow that include 4 counts of murder and felony burglary. And again, burglary doesn't mean you're stealing something. We confuse robbery and burglary quite a bit. Robbery is taking something that does not belong to you. Burglary is going into someplace where you don't belong with the intention of committing a felony inside. So whether you're stealing something or planning to chop up 4 students, they're both burglaries because you're intending to commit a felony when you illegally enter into this place. So they've been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and felony burglary. The Moscow Police Department continues to urge public to submit any images, etc., etc., etc. So that's kind of the general timeline of how all this fits together. In the moments leading up to and after this particular incident. Now, because I am kind of a tool, and because I kind of deleted the poll, I think it's time to put up a new poll. I'll just redo the same poll. Pardon me while I take a few minutes here. Let me bring this over to where I can see it. There we go. I hit the like button and I hit the subscribe button because, or whatever, we'll leave that part out. So, all right, hit the like button. Already subscribed. This can be in a different order. I hit like first, and then subscribe second. It's not enough room. And subscribe second. I hit subscribe first, and like second. The third option is already subscribed. So I just hit like. Oh, there's not enough room for I, so just hit like. And the final option, the power of Christ Don't worry. I only have two hands and they're typing, so I can't bring up the video right now. The power of Christ compels you. All right. The poll is back up. Sorry about that. Sigh. I will stay away from any button remotely associated with that. But just in case you're wondering, the already subscribed, so just hit like, was leading the poll. And followed very shortly thereafter with 22% of the votes was the power of Christ compels you.
The power of Christ compels you.
All righty, so hit that new poll. If you've already voted, vote again. This is just like a United States presidential election. Vote often. All right. Yeah. While that was happening, I was getting some super chats while I was closing polls and reading articles. I want to make sure I got everything here. Let's see. Oh, I have not. So I've got to scroll on up. The dogs are active tonight. Must be a Monday. Must be a full moon. Well, it is a Monday, but it's not a full moon. So they're snorting around here. All righty. Just kind of sorry for the delay here. We will have our ducks all here in a row in a minute. All right, we've got everything now. So let's go over these few, and then we'll get right back into the articles. And Starred Flux says, you take assistance dollars? Do you also accept monopoly money? Hey, I accept donations. I accept pledges. I accept whatever. We don't grift for the money, but we certainly don't turn it down in any form that you fine, outstanding, amazing, caring, loving, based, great, stupendous chatters decide to send my way. That goat is a sheep, damn it. There is no goat. There is no sheep today. Only priests. See, now I'm making you nervous because you don't know when I'm going to use that video. We'll have the goat debate probably again on Thursday. Flux says sheep are just fuzzy goats. All right. I see, my head does these things. It appears my brain is short-circuiting, but I'm going through things in my head and I'm deciding whether or not to say them. And normally the correct answer is don't say them. And so I just kind of had that little conversation in my head there for a minute. Popcorn thumbs up, says Doral Long. Oh, hey doggo. Oh, what a lovely little dogger picture there. And Flux sending $2 Aussie dollars just to make sure. And the joke that was going through my head that I decided it's probably better left not said. If I were to say it out loud, it would go something like, so, goats are just fuzzy, or was it sheep are just fuzzy goats? I guess that means it depends how they identify. So the LGBT it stands for like lambs and goats, but see, it wasn't funny. So I decided not to do it. Apologies. Right. I told you it wasn't funny. All right. So let's see how this arrest went down. That's where we want to go next. How exactly did the Pennsylvania police conduct this raid? I was not aware of these details. So I found this particular news story kind of interesting. Where are we at here? There we go. Moscow, Idaho. This is Bryan Kohberger arrest. Flight records show Pennsylvania police plane circled home for hours after capture. Well, not just that. They did some other things that I was not aware of. Gosh, the stash is getting tickly. Moscow, Idaho. Flight records show a Pennsylvania police plane circled the Poconos home where authorities apprehended suspected Idaho killer Bryan Kohberger for hours last week. Oh, we have someone. Real Weiberg says it may have been hours, but seeing a murder in front of you can be difficult for your brain to process. It's hard for me to see the reasoning for people's surprising views on it. Yeah, well, we'll talk. I have speculations to why a plane may have been circling the area for an hour. We'll get to that in a minute. A playback of air traffic data shows the Plath's plane, the plane's path circling Kohberger's parents' home from 4:02 a.m. to 6:22 a.m. So 2 hours and 20 minutes it circled the home. Sure, the neighbors appreciated that. The single-engine 2019 Textron Aviation 208B kept eyes in the sky. Wow, that's like old 1970s CB radio talk. Got eyes in the sky. That Smokey Bear got his eyes on. Great song. Some great trucker songs from the 70s and early 80s. They sing Convoy. That's a good one. Yeah. All right. Let's not get too ADHD here. All right. So, long after a state police tactical team and the FBI raided Kohberger's family home in Albertsville, the family lives in a gated community where police say DNA evidence collected from the trash outside the house turned up a match liking the suspect profile and Kohberger's father. Being brought in. According to an arrest affidavit made public Thursday, police found a K-bar knife sheath. We're going to talk about the K-bar knife sheath in detail in a little bit. A K-bar knife sheath on the bed next to one of the victims at the crime scene on King Road. They recovered DNA off the metal snap. Major Christopher Paris said during a news conference last week that force was used to gain entry to the Kohbergers' home during an early morning raid. This is what I didn't know. I didn't know that they went in hot there. Everything I'd read up to this point made it sound like they just kind of rang the doorbell very nicely at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, "Hey, we're the police. We came here to rescue your son. We came here to arrest him." But no, apparently the force was used. There were multiple windows that were broken, I believe, to gain access, as well as multiple doors. So it sounds like they just literally went through every ground floor entrance that was available to them at the same time. So multiple doors are broken, multiple windows are broken at 3 o'clock in the morning. Paris said, adding that Bryan Kohberger's parents were home at the time. I guess that would probably surprise you. Paris said preparations for the search warrant's execution began on the evening of December 29th and added that around 50 tactical assets were on scene. So 50 police officers breaking in every single door and window you have on the first floor. We are the police. Please bring out your son. We would like to take him to jail. Court records show that this is the same day Idaho Judge Megan Marshall signed off on the arrest warrant accusing Kohberger of 4 counts of first-degree murder and a felony burglary charge for allegedly entering a home with the intent to kill. Authorities alleged that on November 13th, we all know what the charges are. Here he is in high school, and he was a chonker in high school because there was mention that he was overweight and he was being teased by that. And as someone who's literally been teased for being overweight since the damn day I was born, I was born like it was like 4 point something kilograms. I was a damn near 10-pound baby. I was just born large. Everybody else in Little League, you playing Little League baseball and soccer, everybody got names like Flash and Star and Superstar. I was chunk. So yeah, great. But I can happily say I have not gone mass murdering yet. 2 other housemates survived the attack, including one who told police she was frozen with fear after seeing a masked man with bushy eyebrows on his way out of the house moments after the murders. The 28-year-old student at Washington State University, roughly 10 miles from the University of Idaho, where all 4 victims were undergrads, said he was there. We know he was studying PhD in Wazoo's Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology. After the semester, authorities say he drove the suspect vehicle from Pullman to his family's house in Pennsylvania with his father along for the ride. Nice, Kurt. That was a good one. Kohberger has a master's degree in criminal justice from DeSales University. As part of a project there, he had sought ex-cons in a Reddit forum and asked, okay, we all know that he was asking these weird questions like, how did you choose your victim? How did you feel? What were the emotional traits? He asked a lot of weird questions in that research project of his. During Kohberger's initial appearance in Idaho court Thursday, a judge ordered him held without bail on 5 charges, 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 of felony. Now, why was this police airplane circling his parents' house for approximately 2 hours and 20 minutes on the morning? I would guess first to kind of scope out and make sure everything was there, make sure everybody was home, make sure nothing was going on at that time. And also after, because I would, if I would be suspicious, if I was the police, I would be thinking, okay, these people have just had their son arrested for being literally the most sought after person in the entire United States at that moment. For my son has been accused of murdering 4 students. I would suspect that the police were concerned, if you will, or at least aware of the possibility that his parents could have destroyed evidence. Maybe if they're circling the house and they see people come out and just start throwing unreasonable amounts of garbage in the trash can or loading things into the car and driving away, that could be indicative of hiding evidence. So I would guess that the police airplane was just circling around for a couple of hours for some surveillance, security, and things like that. And we also, in addition to Kurt, we now have a Flux sighting. We also have a Steph the Alter Nerd sighting in the house. What? Hey, Steph, what's up? Hey, see you lurking. We're not really lurking because you're participating. But for those of you that want to watch something fun, go over to Steph the Alter Nerd's channel. Right there, it's all in the title, Steph the Alter Nerd. I was on her channel yesterday. We had a little debate about who the worst person of 2022 was, who the biggest loser of 2022 was, who the biggest cowbag of 2022 was, apart from Amber Heard and Meghan Markle. Those two were excluded from the competition because they're just by nature and default cowbags, losers, and dirtbags. So go watch that. That was it was uploaded to, I guess, about 16 hours ago. Go watch it. It's a great video. It's fun. We had a good time, and I deeply appreciate Steph having me on. She's awesome, and you definitely need to go and subscribe to her. And while you're doing it, I'm just assuming everybody in my channel is subscribed to Uncivil Law, who is also here in chat. Do that. Go subscribe to him if you haven't already, and if you haven't, why not? Shame on you. Flux Paints used to be her old channel. Now she's renamed it House of Flux. And make sure you put 2 X's in Flux. House of Flux. Go to her channel and subscribe to her. And Flux is asking, why did he not kill the other 2? Oh, we'll be talking about that a little bit later. Thoughts on that as well. Steph the Alter Nerd, don't bring your woke English stuff to my home state of Florida. Yeah, because we all know how woke Steph is. Yeah, yeah, that would be Steph. That would be the anti-Steph. That body count. I was born 24 inches and 10.1. I was 19 and a half inches, so you win. And 10.1 pounds. Besides destroying my poor mother, I have never been tempted to kill anyone from all the teasing I endured for being big. Yep. Yeah. That's because it's a normal thing to do. All right. There we go. That kind of catches us up there. Let's we have a super sticker from Viking Wolf by Blood. Thank you so much for that. And Shizzy Wiznut, say it with me, Shizzy Wiznut, Patrick works too. Shizzy Wiznut is better than Patrick, I think, because it's cooler. And as Steph said, Mr. Terrible, I am proper based. Absolutely. Especially now that we know what it means. Oh my gosh. I love all of you guys. Chat, you're the best. Thanks for joining. And those of you that are listening as you just go about your day, driving around, doing your work, you have us on in the background, you're doing housework, when you're being a proper woman and making sandwiches for your man. It's a joke. Don't cancel me. Come back here later and hit that like button and then take the poll. And tell us why you hit that like button. It'll probably be closed by that point, but you can leave it in chat. Steve did it. Oh, Flux, you're hitting all the points. We're going to be talking about Steve in just a minute here because Steve still can't stop talking. So that's actually, in fact, where we're going right now. We're going to update on Steve. What is Steve, Mr. Goncalves? What has he been up to? Yes, Steph is probably making sandwiches. I would be afraid to ask Steph to make me a sandwich because she would probably make a very delicious one and jam it down my throat and tell me to choke on it. And call me a cowbag. Oh, you guys, you're the best. Let's see what Steve's up to. We haven't had a Steve update. Steph says, scarily, I am eating sandwiches right now for my dinner. Well, I had a chicken sandwich on sourdough bread for lunch and a potato or two for dinner. All righty. Steve can't stay out of it. Father of slain student Kaylee Goncalves comments on suspected Idaho murder, looked like a normal guy. Now, remember, Steve is the one that was he was the one that was criticizing the police for being incompetent, saying this was out of their league, saying that he was concerned that they weren't handling it properly and maybe needed to turn it over to other people. They were stalling. He was very, very critical of the police. Then his wife started in on the police. Then their lawyer started in on the police. And then suddenly, ta-da, they catch the suspect. And now the story has changed. He's gone from commenting on how bad of a job the police did to thanking them and then focusing on his brief interactions with the suspect. As I said from day one, Steve wants to be part of this story. I mean, it's interesting. He doesn't really talk about his daughter a lot. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't care. I'm just saying it's interesting. He doesn't talk about his daughter specifically. He talks about the police. He talks about the killer. It's just kind of weird. Steve's a weird guy. And that was the thing. The police were essentially shutting the families out because everything they would say to Steve in confidence, he would spout off to the press or to other people. He even said on a couple of occasions that he probably said way too much. And then he's complaining that they don't give him more information. Well, if you're telling everything, if you're telling all the investigation secrets, why would they tell you anything? So of course the police are either going to stop talking to the families or they're going to start telling them, or at least telling him, incorrect facts. I mean, Steve is just he's a piece of work here. So now he's talking about the suspect. The father of one of the 4 college students that were stabbed to death in Moscow, Idaho, said he did not imagine suspected murderer Bryan Kohberger to look the way he does. Well, yeah. Kaylee Goncalves' father, Steve, said he thought Kohberger, the 28-year-old criminology student who was the lone suspect in the quadruple homicide of University of Idaho students Goncalves, Maddie Mogen, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin, would look more menacing and monstrous. Yeah, because that's how all killers look, Steve. All killers look menacing and monstrous, especially the silent ones. No, this is how they get away with it. They don't look menacing and monstrous. If someone walked around looking like a mass murderer, it would be very difficult for them to actually get away with committing mass murder. Yo, meme, what's up? And I sympathize with that man, though. I personally would like to execute my daughter's murder with my own hands. Oh, just wait. That's coming up in the second story. Meme Cope says, no one ever suspects. Well, that's the thing. The stranger next door was how they described Ted Bundy. Everybody just always says, oh, we never saw this coming. He was so quiet. He was the perfect neighbor. He was so helpful. I can't remember who the comedian was, but a comedian a long time ago said something that I kind of liked just once. I'd like them to put a camera on someone and go, what do you think about this? And have them say, oh yeah, he was a freak. We saw this coming a mile away. That just doesn't happen. That's how they get away with it. Legal Vices, why isn't Steve subject to the gag order? We're going to be talking about the gag order coming up in just a little bit. So funny you should mention that. All of your questions shall be answered tonight. Are you not entertained? We'll be we'll be getting to all of these questions. You're asking great questions. Just stick around and you'll find out. Meme Copium says that's why they'll never catch me. That's like the old story of the guy that picks up the hitchhiker. And while they're going, says, wow, that was very brave of you to pick up a hitchhiker on this dark road in the middle of the night. And the guy said, oh, really? He said, yes. Says the hitchhiker, what if I was a serial killer? And the driver says, that's really unlikely. And the hitchhiker says, why? He said, because can you imagine the odds if there were 2 serial killers in this car right now? Kind of that story. All right. Back to Steve. Kaylee Goncalves' father, Steve, said he thought he'd be more menacing. No, I thought he would be much bigger. He's like 6 foot, 6 on the, and more of a monster, obviously have those key looks of somebody who could not get along with girls. And this was likely his only option or something. Okay, describe that. Okay. Let's get it. I'm sure there's some artists in here. Right? Flux is an artist. We know that. I'm sure there are other artists. Someone comes and says, ooh, give me the key look of someone who cannot get along with girls. And his only option was to murder 4 people. Yeah. I don't know what that looks like. I don't know what it looks like. But that's what he thinks the killer should have looked like. Goncalves told host Chris Cuomo, he looked just like a normal guy that would not stand out in any room or any party. Again, Steve, you freaking genius. That's how they stay hidden. They look like you and me. They don't walk around with big, I'm a serial killer. Flux says it's the nose. Thank you so much for that super chat. It's all in the nose. So yeah, dude, that's how they stay hidden. That's how come he didn't get caught for so long, because he didn't walk around just, looking like drooling and snarling and knuckle dragging like, Mr. Hyde. He, just by the looks of him, you would not know he had that going through his head. Okay, thanks for that genius insight. Kohberger is believed to have entered the rental home, Goncalves and Mogen, both 21, and Kernodle 20, before stabbing them to death in their beds during the early morning hours of November 13th. Chapin, also 20, who was staying with his girlfriend Kernodle that night, was also found stabbed to death. Steve Goncalves' comments came as more is being learned about Kohberger, who is a PhD student at the Department of Criminal Justice and Criminology at Washington State University in Pullman, Washington, which is located less than 10 miles from Moscow, Idaho. Investigators found multiple pieces of evidence tying Kohberger to the crime scene, including a knife sheath with his DNA, as well as seeing Kohberger's white Hyundai Elantra in the area, according to probable cause affidavit, which was released Thursday. Moscow Police Department Corporal Brett Payne noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogen's right side, according to the affidavit. I think that's where the attack initiated, and that's important. Joseph Scott Morgan, a distinguished scholar of applied forensics at Jackson State University in Alabama, told Fox News Digital, it goes to progression, and it goes to who the target was. That was perhaps the specific location he was bound for. That's one thing that I was saying, and I think it's a common thread that goes through things. You think he would go there with the knife, take the knife, why he brought the sheath with him, I don't know, but he did. You take the sheath out, you take the knife out of the sheath, and in the process of stabbing 2 people to death, somehow it gets dropped, somehow it gets left behind. Then you go down, and for some reason, maybe because there was, there's someone in here, maybe because of that or whatever, he takes out the next 2 victims on the 2nd floor. So I'm thinking he also started on the 3rd floor, dropped the sheath, went down to the 2nd floor, and for whatever reason, took out the other 2 on the 2nd floor. And then at some point you go, either he just doesn't realize he's lost the sheath, or he's like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But then maybe he sees DM and thinks, oh, I can't go back upstairs for it now. I've just got to get out of here. For whatever reason, whatever went on, he left that knife sheath there. And that was probably the prime, single most important piece of evidence that we know about so far. We might touch on this a little bit later, but when they do these affidavits, when the police do these affidavits, in support of probable cause motions to get arrest warrants and things. They put the bare minimum of information, the bare minimum that they have to do to get that arrest warrant, because they don't want to let all the cats out of all the bags right at the beginning. So I'm suspecting, as we talked about before, that they have a lot more going on than just this DNA print on the button. That was a piece that maybe they needed to put in this evidentiary section of their document to link him directly to both places, to the Pennsylvania address where his parents were staying and where the DNA match came up, and also to put him at the location of the murder. So I'm assuming that they have a lot more than they put in that affidavit, but only time will tell. We'll just have to see how it progresses. The Idaho State Police Lab later identified Kohberger's DNA on the sheath. Kohberger was ultimately arrested in late December at his parents' home in Albrightsville. That's easy for me to say. In Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. More than 2,500 miles away from the school, he was on winter break at the time of the arrest. The white Hyundai Elantra was at the family home. Accused killer in the Idaho State is being taken from prison. There he is there. Investigators also recovered trash at the home. So we've got the trash pandas. They're going through there looking for evidence and things in the trash. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later too. An analysis determined that DNA from the piece of garbage belonged to the biological father of the DNA profile found on the sheath, the affidavit says. And it was something like 99.999, a bunch of nines and a 7 or an 8, I believe, at the end, percent that the DNA on the knife was the son of the person on the trash they found. His DNA also matched a DNA sample in a public database. Remember, guys, when you do all of these 23andMe, Ancestry.com stuff, you're putting your DNA, all of you that say, oh, I don't trust the police, don't trust the effing police, don't talk to the police, don't do all this, you do these things and you put your DNA out there in the public database and it's there forever and ever and ever. And your DNA shows up somewhere it doesn't belong, like at a party house that you've been frequenting where something bad has happened. They run it and, oh, what do you know? It matches something that you put on 21andMe or 23andMe or whatever the hell it's called, just because you wanted to know what percentage of your ancestry came from Mongolia. I haven't done it. I don't ever plan on doing one of those DNA things. Not that I ever plan on showing up anywhere, but there you go. Ugh. All right. They matched the public database, and his phone also pinged several times at his Pullman residence just before the murders took place, and again near the scene of the crime several hours later. Yeah, he went back to the scene of the crime, assuming he did it. His cell phone was pinging around 9 a.m. near the house, which again is indicative of guilt, because that's the thing that serial killers, murderers, arsonists, people like to go back to the scene of the crime to see what the aftermath of their acts were, to see how much confusion, to see how much damage they've caused. But what is noticeably absent here, which we talked about before, is there is no pinging of his cell phone anywhere for the time that the murders took place. Not back in Washington, not there in Idaho, nowhere else. Which, again, the absence of any evidence can be evidence of something. So you have pinging in Washington, and then you have suddenly it stops. The murder time happens, and then a little while later, it starts pinging again. That is evidence that you turned it off and tried to hide your location. Before it used to be, if you are pinging somewhere, that's evidence you did it. Now we're to the point where if you turn your phone off for any reason, that's suspicious. Think about that. That should give you a couple of nightmares at least. Kohberger has been extradited to face charges in Idaho, including 4 counts of murder and felony burglary. The legal experts have commented the prosecution's inclusion of the burglary charge could be key in court, as it suggests the suspect and victims shared no previous relationship that would have warranted Kohberger to have been in the home that evening. Police have not disclosed a possible motive for the murders. Any connection between the suspect and the victim is not known at this time. And they want some more information. So, all right, he doesn't look like a vicious, horrible killer. He doesn't look massive and intimidating and giant and scary like Steve thinks he ought to look. Okay, fine. So what? We'll read one more article and then we'll do our midstream catch up on things. So let's continue with Steve here. Steve's got more to say. Steve isn't just in one article. Steve is in a couple of articles today because Steve has a lot to say. Why does Steve have a lot to say? Well, of course, because he's Steve. And Steves have lots of things to say. Now, this is something that was brought up by one of you in chat a short time ago. Idaho murder victim's father wants Bryan Kohberger to know he won't, quote, be on the planet that long. Steve, shut up, bruh. Now, if something happens to Bryan, guess who they're coming for? Steve, shut up. Steve, just shut up, Steve. Idaho murder victim Kaylee Goncalves' father told Fox News on Friday that he wants accused killer Bryan Kohberger to get the death penalty. Okay, that's good. That's fair. You can say that. Idaho does have the death penalty. They don't like to use it much. There's not been that many, I think since 1976, there's been, I think there's 8 people on death row in Idaho. And I think there's been 2 executions carried out since 1976 when they reinstated the death penalty. So there was supposed to be 3 at the end of last month. There's supposed to be 1 more. So there should only be 7 people on death row right now, but they had to scrap one of the death sentences. There was one of the executions they were supposed to be carrying out at the end of last month because they didn't have the lethal injection medication. They didn't have access to the legal injection medications, so they had to stop it. And this was one of these weird things where the guy is dying of cancer. He's on his last legs. He's in hospice right now. They wanted to rush to execute him before he died of cancer. But now they're probably just going to let him die of cancer. Yeah. So the fun little tidbit about Idaho. They have the death penalty. They don't like to use it that much. So we don't know. We don't know what they'll do. We don't know if the prosecution will seek a death penalty or not. But Steve wants him to get it. And if he's guilty, I think he should get it. But we'll see. I want this case to get stronger and stronger to the point where he realizes he's not going to be on the planet that long. Well, Steve, one of the ways that you can help the case get stronger and stronger is to shut up about it. Stop tipping off people to what the police are looking at. Stop doing these things. I mean, now the guy's been arrested. It's a little different, but still, just, Steve, you're not helping. You think you're helping, you're not. You're drawing attention away from everything else and you're putting it on you. That's my comments for Steve today. Steve Goncalves said one day after he and his wife, Christy, faced Kohberger in court for the first time since his daughter and 3 other students were slaughtered. Kohberger, 28, made his initial appearance Thursday, as we know all about that. Steve Goncalves says he wants Kohberger to feel like he picked the very worst family to target. Again, Steve, you're making it about yourself. We want him to feel like he picked the very worst family, singular. Screw the other 3 families, Steve is thinking, subconsciously probably. Steve wants him to know he picked the worst family, not the worst families. He doesn't care if they feel like if he feels like he picked the very worst families to target. Just him. Yeah, screw the other 3. I don't know. Just the way he says things is stupid, nonsensical, and it's very, very unhelpful. Maybe you think I'm wrong. Meat Popsicle says, why does it take so long for the death penalty? Uncivil Law says, yeah, maybe something about due process. Exactly. It takes a long time to go through all of the appeals because you want to make sure you're getting the right guy before once you execute someone, There are no more do-overs. You need to make sure you exhaust every legal remedy. And that is something that we should take very, very seriously and protect to the nth degree, to the utmost degree, because the government literally has the power to take away your life. The government can go to your house right now. The U.S. government can go to your house right now, charge you with first-degree murder, and seek the death penalty for any of you in the United States right now. And you've got to fight it. And if you don't, you die. That's why we hold them. That's why we have all of these layers of protection. And you know what? Even though we do this, even though we hold them to this standard, even though we force the state to exhaust every possible option before they delete you, we still get it wrong sometimes. There are innocent people that have been put to death, far too many, despite it taking years and years and years to get there. There's some food for thought. Back to Steve. He just wants him to feel like his family, messing with his family is the worst family to target. If I was the other families, I would be horribly offended by that comment. I would be upset by that comment. Be like, hey, what about us? You don't care about us? We're not supposed to be the worst family to target too? Every time he turns on the TV, he sees us. And every time he thinks something positive is happening in his case, he sees one of us communicating and he realizes he has zero hope, Goncalves says. Yeah, I really don't think he cares. I don't know. In an interview Thursday, Goncalves told News Nation that to his family, justice meant Kohberger getting the death penalty, which the suspect faces if convicted. Okay, fair enough. Like I said, again, if the prosecution wants to seek the death penalty, go ahead. And if it's proven he did it, I think he should get the death penalty. I think the death penalty needs to be used more, a lot more than it is, because there are a lot of people out there that have lost the right to breathe my oxygen, as far as I'm concerned. But the problem is not being applied fairly and accurately. So that's where my problem with the death penalty is. I mean, justice doesn't have a room where you can read books and go to school and you can have 3 meals and you can have your vegan diet, he said, flanked by his wife. Justice is when you leave the planet and the whole world is able to rejoice and be glad you are not there. Little hyperbolic. I would say that's not justice. I would say that's vengeance. And I'm not saying vengeance isn't a bad thing. But I'm just saying, it's a little semantics. That sounds like vengeance, not justice. The couple said they were surprised by the appearance and demeanor of the Washington State University PhD student they saw in court. It looked just like a guy that looks like a normal everyday kid. I mean, I didn't see anything there that caught my eye, Steve Goncalves told News Nation. We expected him to be a bigger monster and more intimidating, as he said in the last article. So we got the DNA left on a tan leather knife sheath at the crime scene, came back as a match with the garbage from the parents' home. Oh, and my dog just unplugged my external drive. It made that little doo-doo noise, which means you are no longer connected. Good thing I don't need it for the rest of this. So that's the end of Steve's comments for today. Steve is just being Steve. Hazel says, Vices, why so triggered? Take a sip. Well, that's the part of the show we're in here now. We're in the midstream. We're right here in the middle. This is where we have to play a little catch up. We'll go back and read these super chats here, and then we'll catch up on some super chats we didn't read last Friday, which I owe to you. And then we'll jump back into the next thing we're going to be talking about is the gag order. Because you were wondering about the gag order. We're going to talk about that next. But first, A Savage says, thoughts? Didn't his dad say they went to Washington before Penn? Maybe weapon was left there? I don't recall. I haven't seen anything that said they went to Washington before Pennsylvania. Like you mean D.C., Washington, or they were in Washington? Like Washington State already. I mean, you mean Washington? See, I don't. Again, whatever happened, I do not think that weapon was thrown away. I don't think he threw the weapon away. I think he's got it somewhere. It's hidden somewhere, and he knows where. because that's kind of a thing that people like this do. It's very, very common for them to have a trophy, to have a memento of the event. So if he did it, I think the knife is hidden away somewhere, and we may never know where it is. He may never talk if he did it, but if he did it, maybe he'll say where it is. Who knows? But I don't think it's thrown away. I don't think it's gone forever. I think he put it somewhere safe, somewhere probably close where he could look at it when he wanted to. But that's just pure speculation on my part, based on such trends and such things happening. Alan, thank you so much for the super chat. crimecircuscult@gmail.com. I asked for his email, so now you have it if you want him to come on one night. Oh, I've emailed him a lot. He just apparently doesn't want to. So, whatevs. I've sent several emails asking him to be on to do some of the interviews, but nary a peep. So whatevs. Guys, don't bother. If you he's got the emails. I know he's got the emails. And we'll just have to see. But the invitation is there and open. Xcomer Triple Z. How soon will Kohberger see what evidence they have? Kohberger will probably see the evidence a while from now. There's a lot that's got to happen between now and the discovery process. There's going to be a while. But there's going to be a status hearing coming up on Thursday at 8:30 a.m., I believe, or 8:30 or 9. I think it's 8:30. Somewhere around there. I've got it. I've got it on my phone here. What's the time for the 2 p.m.? 2 p.m. Should be 2 a.m. my time. So whatever that is in Idaho. 8:30 or 9:30, somewhere around then. Thursday is the status hearing where they're just basically going to see where they are at this point in time. 87 Sparky, thank you so much for the super chat. If your family did your DNA, you're already effed. Yeah. I don't think anybody in my family has done it because we really don't want to know who we're related to. Peggy Cole, thank you so much for the super chat. Hi, saw you with Steph. Do you have alt tip? I saw you with Steph. Do you have alt tip? I do not know what is this alt tip of which you speak, Peggy Cole. Sorry. Oh no, hey Joe says Jeff is still recuperating from his F at Friday stream for 1 billion hours. No, it was only like 9.5 hours. I was good. I got 4 hours sleep. I was just good to go and went about my business as normal. Yeah, I was already good. I'm a quick recoverer. Oh my God, yes, doggies. I think looks like Strawberry might be fixing to throw up. That would just be perfect, wouldn't it? All right, let's get back to this. We have a couple more super chats to deal with today here. I get it. The feeling of helplessness after your daughter is murdered. Absolutely. I'm on board with you there so far. The bravado is a fence against the feeling of uselessness and despair. I agree with that. I don't fault him for feeling that way. And God forbid any of us ever have to go through this. But the other families seem to be tempering their urges. I'm sure they have the same exact feelings, but Steve is just trying to make this too much about himself. Locals page when never. Korea does not play well with locals. It is, as I've said before, it's really, really, really hard for foreigners to do anything with banking here, just because it's not set up for foreigners. You got totally different alphabets, you got totally different identification systems, so it's actually kind of a difficult thing. And locals does not play well with foreigners or their bank accounts. So I just have it so that I can look at other people's locals. Peggy Cole in the affidavit. Oh, thank you. You don't have to super chat this. Gosh. In the affidavit, I have a feeling the ping drop before the cup of joe or after might be a place where the dumping ground. I meant alt payment. I do not have alternative payments for exactly the reasons what we just discussed. It's for some reason I don't know. Well, okay, because I'm an American living in Korea, my if I were to do PayPal would take the exact same amount that YouTube takes out, 30%. As locals doesn't work well. I haven't, apparently Rumble doesn't either. So it's really literally the only thing to do is just do the way YouTube does it. And because also if I start doing things, just having money sent directly to my bank account in the States, I run the risk of losing the tax benefits of living in Korea. I lose my tax breaks here. So I have to keep my tax base in Korea, but that means there's a lot of things I just can't do as a foreigner here. So there you go. That's the long and short of it. YouTube, they get everything. That's just kind of the best way we've got going. And frankly, I just feel like it's me paying for a platform to be on. Now, I did mention that we had some super chats and other things from last Friday, from our F Friday. There's a bunch of super chats that I seem to have missed, probably due to my not being clear-headed as clear-headed as I usually am. So I just wanted to burn through these few super chats. If any of you are listening and maybe I read these, I don't know. It usually turns out that I actually did read them. I just want to read them again to make sure because I have no physical memory of reading any of these. A Michigan. Okay. We got. I know we read that one. All right. Here's where we start getting it. The Apostle Steve said it's getting dark on the East Coast and you're still streaming. Wild. Yep. Where'd that come up here? I've been listening all day. Thanks for the Friday entertainment. This F Friday is probably the best one yet. Also, chat, go buy some tea from the Tea Man. It's really good, said the last conqueror. The last conquistador, sorry. And Matt R said, dragging Tea Man out of his shell, one tea purchase at a time. Yeah. Go to thedragonstreasure.com and order some fantastic tea and make sure you use code word Vices because you get a big discount. Heather Sparrow with a $20 super chat said, I started drinking water and coffee this morning, started on the whiskey, love F Friday. Thanks for all the entertainment. The last conquistador says, my Xbox gamer tag is Moist Granny. So I got you on disliked words. My Xbox gamer tag is Moist Granny. Oh, thanks. And Alan gave us a $100 super chat that I'm almost certain I neglected to read and behave properly to. So behaving properly is a pour of the amazing Glenmorangie Signet. Again, my most favorite desert island, the one whiskey that I could drink for the rest of my life without complaint. Glenmorangie Signet. Cheers to you, Alan. Thank you so much. Red Fox Moon said 1 minute overtime. Oh, that's for today. Okay, we got through all of those. Have another one. Okay, Alan said, have another one on me. The best YouTuber. Glad to be your mod. Cheers. That was $100 super chat. Michigan DUI. Okay, there we go. We got everything done. Drink is on me. All right, we got everything. All right, we are caught up, I believe. Yes, it seems that way. All right, there we go. Mike B wants the goat. Hey, you know what? You want the goat? Money talks. There's your goat. See, that's what we should do. We should have like a duel super chat duel. More money gets the goat repeatedly. If you don't want the goat, then you have to give more than Mike's $5. And then if Mike wants that goat, if you give $10 and then Mike wants that goat back, Mike has to give $20. And we keep playing the goat until someone gives $50 to shut the goat up. Wow, I could be rich. No, we're not going to do that. we're not going to do that. That would just be extreme. So, all right, that was kind of our mid-grift here. Just wanted to clear that out of the way. And now we're going to jump back into this. But first, let's check on our poll. Everybody, Peggy Cole sent a woot. Thank you so much for that. Mike B said he wants the goat. Eva Torres says, goat me, baby. No, don't do this. This is wrong. Okay. Goat. Enough goats. That's enough goating. Oh, God damn it. Hold that right there. I hit the like button. So this is what you have to do to participate in the poll. Hit that like button. Currently, we've got 1,167 concurrent viewers. You all haven't abandoned me during this little 10-minute break in the middle of the stream. So thank you for that. We're going to get right back into the Idaho Murders right now. Just had to do some housekeeping stuff here in the middle of the stream. 1,174 concurrent viewers, 904 likes. And thank you to everyone who has hit that like button so far. But one thing you need to do, hit the like button and the subscribe button. I can't believe that all 1,174 of you have subscribed to my channel. Do it. You won't regret it. We do this. We do other things. We've got the Dumpster Brothers murder trial coming up. We've got the suitcase murder Sarah Boone trial coming up. We've got the Murdaugh blowing his wife and son away with different weapons murder trial coming up. We've got Courtney Clenny. Her next status hearing is coming up in February. In March, Taylor Shabusiness, who chopped up her boyfriend into lots of little pieces and left his head in a bucket at the bottom of the stairs for his mom to find, trial coming up sometime soon, probably March is like when it's supposed to go. So we're doing good. We got all these things coming up. We do other fun stuff along the way, such as F Fridays. We have guests on, just talk and ramble. You need to subscribe. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button for today's video, and then go over and take our poll. Our poll today is I hit the like and I hit the subscribe button in this order. I hit like first and subscribe second. Or did you hit subscribe first and then like second? Or you were already subscribed, so you just hit like? Or did you hit like and subscribe because
the power of Christ compels you?
That's your choice. My personal favorite is hit that like button because
the power of Christ compels you.
And make sure you hit the subscribe button also because
the power of Christ compels you.
All right, we're done with that. Just had to get that out of my system. All right. Now seriously, don't say those words in the super chat anymore. And those words I'm talking about are the magic words. I didn't even tag the words because they freaked me out so much. There they are. Mike B with the magic words we don't want to hear anymore. Goat, goat, goat. Yeah, last time, seriously. Because you wouldn't believe the amount of hate mail I get every time I mention that damn goat, or every time I bring the goat noise in. So we're done. We're done getting hate mail for today. All right, that's where we are. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, take the poll. Thank you so much for the super chats that have come in so far. They're great. Hey, you can, as a bonus, you get to watch a bulldog lick his paw. And, don't no. All right, I'm getting distracted. Let's get back into this. Gag order. What's going on with the gag order? Well, this was something I learned that was new that I was not aware of. Bryan Kohberger's defense was behind the gag order. It was the defense team that asked for the gag order. Well, that's interesting. Moscow, Idaho. Again, the Coeur d'Alene defense attorney for University of Idaho mass stabbing suspect. Mass stabbing suspect? That's kind of a weird thing to say. Go ahead, say mass murder suspect. I mean, he's not being arrested for stabbing someone. He's been arrested for murdering 4 people, allegedly. He's not a stabbing suspect. He's a murder suspect. They just have to be different. You know, you have to mix it up a little bit so you know what's going on. Mass stabbing suspect Bryan Kohberger filed requests to halt the scheduled December 30th crime scene cleanup and back to gag order restricting public comment on the case. Newly unsealed court documents revealed Friday. See, that was one thing that was interesting because there was video. There was police body cam video or TV video. I'm not sure. I can't remember which one it was, showing the time when they were ordered not to take anything out of the house. And the defense lawyer, she was there, and I was kind of wondering about that. But now it's all become clear. It's all been made clear. It was the defense that made the motion to put a gag order in place, and the defense that asked the police to stop removing things from the house so they could do their own investigation. That kind of makes sense, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. Prior to Kohberger's arrest and the raid of the parents' house, Moscow police announced that a crime scene remediation crew, cleaners, would be brought in to remove potential biohazards and other harmful substances used to collect evidence from the King Road house, where 4 students were attacked in their sleep in the pre-dawn hours of November 13th, 2022. The prior day, Judge Megan Marshall signed off on an arrest warrant. Yeah, see, that just answered the question we had. Timing is weird. The defense before the arrest? Yeah, because this is why. It explains it right here in this paragraph. So that was very good timing of you to raise that issue. The prior day, so that would be December, was it 29th, I guess? The prior day, Judge Megan Marshall signed off on an arrest warrant naming Kohberger as the suspect around 2:22 Pacific time. About less than 12 hours later, Pennsylvania State Police and the FBI burst into the Kohberger's residence in a gated community in Albertsville in the Poconos, about 90 miles north of Philadelphia. That's his public defender there. That morning, across the country, Kootenai County Public Defender Ann Taylor was provisionally appointed to the case, which, barring a change in venue, is being heard in neighboring Latah County. So at the time the arrest warrants come out, that's when they provisionally appoint a public defender, because they know it's going to be needed. So that's why this timing seems really, really tight. In a pair of filings, Taylor invoked her client's Fifth Amendment right and asked the court to preserve the crime scene and evidence. So it wasn't the prosecutor saying, okay, we have to stop pulling things out of this house because we want to do more investigation. It was the defense saying, whoa, wait a minute. We need to preserve this. We need to have our investigators go in and look at it. A crime scene cleanup crew arrived at the King Road house around 8:30 a.m. and began preparing to remediate the home. Workers entered the home about 15 minutes later. At 9:02, they abruptly left. So they were only in there for about 30 minutes. On January 3rd, Taylor and a team of investigators for the defense were seen at the house. Yeah, this is what we saw here, what I saw. Examining evidence that remained behind weeks after police carried out the victim's belongings. Taylor and her office ignored several requests for comment from Fox News Digital throughout the morning and afternoon. Around 3:45 p.m., the court received a request for a gag order, barring lawyers for both sides and other authorities from communicating with the public about the case. Despite the order, many details from the investigation are expected to come to light in the court proceedings. The first of which came from a 19-page probable cause affidavit unsealed Thursday, just minutes before Kohberger made his first appearance before Judge Marshall. Bill Thompson, the Latah County prosecuting attorney, said as much at a news conference following the arrest. Your primary source of factual information is going to be the court record, because that's what the Supreme Court says we need you to refer to, Thompson told reporters during the December 30th briefing. So please pay attention to what's going on in court and have people there to watch and hear what's being said. There's Prosecutor Santa. Marshall ordered Kohberger held without bail on 5 charges, 4 counts of first-degree murder, another felony burglary. We know that. Yeah, so it's 9 a.m. Mountain Time is when he will be back in court on January 12th. We know he was a student. See if there's anything new in your master's degree. Nope, there's no additional new information about that. Well, let's see. There's two. This is something that many people don't know as well. There are two, essentially what we're calling gag orders issued. 2 of them. Let me bring these up here. There was a very short one and then a longer one. Let's see. There they are. Gag order. This is the first one that was issued here. Let's get rid of that. And present this one. Can we do this? Nope, we got to do the window. All right. This is the original gag order. And there's problems. There's problems with this. I am, well, not problems, there's concerns that I had with this. So here, the state of Idaho plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger defendant. And again, it's called a non-dissemination order, rather than, they don't actually call them gag orders. This court, by stipulation of the parties, so that means both parties agreed to this. Both parties agreed to this order. It's hereby ordered that the parties to the above titled action, including investigators, okay, this is the thing. This is where my problem with this comes. These gag orders need to be specific. They need to be very, very clear in who can do what and not leave anything open to interpretation. But this whole document kind of leaves things open to interpretation. It's not really crystal clear at all. What investigators? Law enforcement personnel. What law enforcement personnel? Only the Idaho ones? What about the Pennsylvania people? Can they talk about this? What about the troopers that pulled them over twice in, what was it, Indiana? Can they talk about it? And what is law enforcement personnel? Does that include people in the jails? Who is law enforcement personnel? Attorneys. Okay, fairly clear there. And agents of the prosecuting attorney or defense attorney. And what does that mean? That could be anybody. So it's just not really clear who is subject to this. But one thing notable here, the parents, the families are not included in this. The families can say whatever they want about this. They can make any comments. They can go on news stations. They can do anything they want. They are not subject to this gag order. So it's just these people that are mentioned here in the gag order right at the moment. So all of these people are prohibited from making extrajudicial statements, that means out of court statements, written or oral, concerning this case, other than a quotation from or reference to, without comment, the public records of the case. So basically they can say the court ordered da-da-da-da-da-da-da without comment. The order specifically prohibits any statement which a reasonable person would expect to be disseminated by means of public communication that relates to the following. So anything that a reasonable person would expect to get relating to evidence regarding the occurrences or transactions involved in this case, the character, credibility, or criminal record of a party. So the police can't say, hey, he was arrested for speeding once, or his license expired once, or he was pulled over twice. They can't make the statements about any prior criminal records, or we think he's a liar. They can't make comments like that. The performance or results of any examinations or tests, or their failure or the refusal or failure of a party to submit to such tests or examinations. Lie detector is a big one. They can't say he failed or passed a lie detector test. They can't say he refused to take a lie detector test. Things like that. Medical examinations, whatever, blood tests, whatever. They can't mention any opinion as to the merits of the case or the claims or defense of a party. So they can't talk. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. Or any other matters reasonably likely to interfere with a fair trial in this case, such as, but not limited to, great lawyer words there. Those are great lawyer words. Such as, but not limited to, the existence or contents of any confession, admission, or statement given by the defendant, the possibility of a plea of guilt to the charged offense or a lesser offense, or any opinion as to the defendant's guilt or innocence. So basically anything that is reasonably likely in the mind of a reasonable person to interfere with a fair trial. That's pretty damn broad and really unspecific. But what are you going to do? That's what the order came out as. It is further ordered that no person covered by this order shall avoid its prescriptions by actions that indirectly but deliberately cause a violation of this order. Like, for example, just randomly, and this is just an example, telling Steve about something and waiting for Steve to leak it to the public. Can't do that. Like, hey, we know if we tell, person X about this, person X will go straight to the media. So let's tell person X. Can't do that. It's further ordered that this order and all provisions thereof shall remain in full force and effect throughout these proceedings until such time as a verdict has been returned, unless modified by this court. So ordered this day and this date. That's the first gag order. Now there's an amended order governing courthouse and courtroom conduct. This one's a bit longer. This is a bit more involved, and this will give you a little bit more of an idea about what to expect. I know lots of you are asking in the chat, well, what does this mean for cameras in the courtroom? What does this mean? Are we going to be able to watch it? Let's see. Again, state of Idaho plaintiff versus Bryan C. Kohberger, defendant. This order governs courthouse and courtroom conduct and media activities and may be amended from time to time. So this isn't written in stone by the finger of God. This can be amended. The court is mindful of the need to balance this is very important, and we'll hit these 4 points here in just a quick second once we read through them. The court is mindful of the need to balance the constitutional right of the defendant to a fair trial, a fair hearing, to the public's right to information in conjunction with the constitutional and statutory rights of the media to attend proceedings. 3, the court's interest in maintaining order and an environment that permits all participants to focus on their responsibilities without undue distractions. And 4, the court's interest in the safety of the public and court personnel and the need to follow all Idaho Supreme Court orders as may be changed or amended from time to time. So primarily this gag order is done for the benefit of the defendant, to make sure that they don't just throw out all of this information that could prejudice the public, potentially taint the jury pool against the defendant. The defendant has a constitutional right to a fair and impartial jury. So they're limiting the release of information to ensure as best they can that the constitutional right of the defendant to receive a fair and impartial jury and to have a fair trial is preserved. But at the same time, the public has a right to access to the courts. We have the right to go into a courtroom and see what's happening inside of it. We have that right to see how justice is being administered. That's the second thing they're talking about. And third, to maintain an order and maintaining order and an environment that permits all parties to focus. That's just, without undue distractions. They don't want to be distracted by all of this, just pundit bullshit going on. And 4 is interesting too. The court's interest in the safety of the public and court personnel. There's going to be some heated people. There's going to be some people, not necessarily the families, not necessarily the defendant, but as we saw with the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, you're going to get some fanboys, fangirls, some stalkers, some crazies, some internet sleuths. There's going to be some high emotions during this. And they want to limit the exposure of the people inside the courtroom to those types of people. And also, there's the jury. They want to make sure the jury aren't shown on television. They want to make sure that, there's some other things that they're doing in relation to number 4 that we'll talk to later because it's specifically mentioned in the order. So these are the 4 things they're focusing on. And they've made these orders: courtroom seating and attendance. This tells you who gets to go in. There's some big clues in here. Seating for victims' families, counsel, defendant's family, and court personnel. Certain seating may be reserved for counsel, authorized court personnel, the defendant's family, and the victim's family. Relatively small courtroom. It is a small courtroom. So if you get the counsels, the court personnel, the defendant's family, the victim's families, whatever, that means there's not going to be a lot of room for the public. And that space that's allowed for the public is even further reduced by the next thing, the pooled media seating. The reporters that are allowed in there, they're going to take up a chunk of space. And who are these pooled media people? The representatives of the media serving the pooled camera staff. That tells you right there, they're letting cameras in the courtroom. Unless something wild happens between now and then, I fully expect cameras to be in the courtroom during the actual trial, maybe even during the other hearings. So the representative of the media serving as the pooled camera staff shall be seated in an area approved by the court as designated by the administrative district judge, presiding judge, trial court administrator, or bailiff, subject to a limit of 2 media members operating the pooled audio and video recording of the hearing. So we get video and audio recording for media. There's going to be courtroom cameras. And 1 media member handling the pooled still photography. 1 photographer in the background somewhere. General public and additional media seating. The public and members of the media not designated as pooled camera staff may be permitted in the courtroom as space permits on a first-come basis. No person may reserve seats. No standing in the courtroom will be allowed. So we're looking at, they have seating for the lawyers, for authorized court personnel, for the defendant's family, for the victim's family, 2 for the camera and audio, and 1 for a still camera. And then if there's any space left over for Joe Public, there's not going to be a lot of space left. Seating in front of the bar. In front of the bar means between the railing that separates the peanut gallery from the lawyers and the judge. So you can't sit on the other side of the fence, the courtroom fence. No person other than court personnel designated by the court, the defendant, and counsel and their assistants shall be permitted to sit in front of the bar of the court without specific authorization of the court. Entry and exit during court proceedings. Spectators, including members of the media and public, shall be seated before court is in session during any portion of a hearing. No entry or re-entry to the courtroom shall be permitted while court is in session. If you got to go to the bathroom, you better damn well hold it until a break or lunch, because if you go out midstream, so to speak, you're not getting back in. They're not going to just keep opening and closing doors through the entire proceeding. You go out, you stay out. And that's it. General restrictions and requirements. Security screening. Of course, everybody's going to be subject to security screening. No food, beverages, firearms, or other weapons are permitted in the courthouse. All handbags, backpacks, purses are prohibited in the courtroom. Any personal property items are subject to inspection. Yeah, they don't want Granny smuggling in a little, shooting iron in her purse. They don't want anybody talking on a public telephone packing heat so that they can take out the defendant when he walks by. None of that. Nobody gets handbags. Nobody gets personal items. Like bag type personal items. So you can have your cell phone. Cell phones are permitted, but must be turned off and shall not be used for recording or transmission of sounds or images. Violation of this rule may result in confiscation of the phone. Use it and you lose it. Yeah. Jill Mack says, where depends. Ew. Other electronic devices. Only authorized members of the media, designated court personnel, and counsel and their assistants may use computers, laptops, and other similar devices for note-taking. They shall not record or transmit sound or images in or from the courtroom. Violation of this rule may result in confiscation of the device. Disruptive behavior. Any activity or behavior which is considered disruptive by the court will result in removal from the courtroom. Any spectator who creates a visual or auditory disturbance in the court proceedings may be removed from the courtroom and or the building at any time at the discretion of court security personnel. Fair enough. COVID-19 precautions. On the date of any hearing, in the above captioned matter, if there are any orders in effect from either the Idaho Supreme Court or Second Judicial District Administrative District Judge regarding COVID-19 safety protocols, all persons attending any hearing shall be required to comply with those orders. Information about such orders on the date of a hearing may be obtained from the contacts set forth in paragraph 3F below. Media coverage. Here we go. We're going to get some more into the media coverage here. Oh, let's take a quick bit of a break here before we get too far in. Mike B, go. Okay, we already did that. We don't have to repeat the goat. You're safe. Leanie still want to snuggle with the pups. Okay, Yoda has gone. Nope, Yoda's not under the desk. So Yoda has probably gone to the sofa where Yoda sleeps, and Strawberry sleeps there on the chair. until I finish. It appears she's licking my pillow to death right now. Great. Thank you so much for the super chat. And you've got a cute little doggo there too. Hey, there's a little puppy. Sorry about that. I just do that around dogs. Flux says, I miss Greta from the Matthew Terry case. We need Greta. Tracy D, thanks for what you do, Jeff. You're my favorite person on YouTube and start my day off right. Tracy, that is so darn sweet of you. Thank you so much. Oh, that makes me feel good and special. Thank you. And Cricket, Craft, and Crime says, Criminy, you have a channel. Don't know who she's talking to, but I just wanted to let her know that I can actually pronounce Cricket, Crafts, and Crime today. About 50% of the time I say Circuit, Crafts, and Crime. And John Byrne in the house. Hey, Jono, what's up? The power of Christ compels you. Yes, it does. Hit that like button.
The power of Christ compels you.
And again, John Byrne, I am reading your emails. I was 187 emails behind a week and a half ago. Now I'm 300 emails behind. I'll probably get around to answering everybody's email. I know you've got an email there, John. I'll make sure I get to your answer this weekend. Hopefully. Catching up on emails is so fun. I should do it because the power of Christ compels me. Ooh, just kidding. I'm not going to do that to you. I wouldn't do that to you. All right. It's that time again. It's time to jump back into this media coverage. Here's what we're going on with the media coverage. John Byrne says, I gave up on the response for now. Don't give up on the response. I'm just literally so busy at work. And then I'm so busy doing this, and I just don't have time to dig through the emails, and I'm just getting farther and farther behind. It's tragic. Camera/still photography. If the court allows cameras in the courtroom, and as you've seen above, they're already allocating seats for cameras in the courtroom. So it doesn't seem like if the court is going to allow cameras. It seems the court is going to allow cameras in the courtroom unless there's a compelling reason not to and someone objects to it. So if the court allows cameras in the courtroom and orders that the media coverage be pooled, which seems to be the case, then all media shall have access to and share the video, audio, and still photographs received from the permitted camera. Members of the media shall designate and agree on the operator of each camera permitted pursuant to ICAR 45. Courtroom media requirements. Allowed media representatives and their equipment will be located in an area of the courtroom designated by the administrative district judge, presiding judge, trial court administrator, or bailiff. The number and placement of pooled cameras being used to audio or video record the proceedings is subject to the approval of the court. 2 audio video recording devices and 1 still camera are permitted inside the courtroom. Any traditional still camera shall have a silent shutter. No flash photography is allowed. Yeah, they don't going on through the whole thing. No live broadcasting, transmitting, or streaming from the courtroom is allowed. Okay, this can mean a couple of things. This can mean the courtroom reporters are not allowed to broadcast, transmit, or stream from the courtroom. It might mean that no broadcasting, including the pooled camera, can happen from the courtroom. That seems a bit weird to me, but it's possible that's exactly what it could mean. Which would mean that once court finishes, then they can stream whatever the hell the proceedings were that day. So that's going to have to be clarified. And I'm sure it'll be clarified before trial. Well, it'll have to be clarified before trial, actually. So does no live broadcasting, transmitting, or streaming mean someone like Law and Crime, if they're it could be Court TV, whoever the pool camera operator is, does that mean they can't live broadcast, transmit, or stream from the courtroom? Or does it mean that is happening, but the reporters who are there can't? I don't know. We'll just have to see. It seems to me, based on what happened at the first court appearance, that it means no live broadcasting from anybody, including the courtroom cameras. But that may change because this is all subject to change. So either way, I think there's going to be either live broadcasting of what happens from the pool camera, or as soon as trial's over for that day, then they'll just stream it. from that point. We'll just see. No movement around the courtroom will be allowed during court proceedings. Camera and audio equipment shall not be set up nor disassembled at any time while court is in session. Portion of proceedings which may be televised. Photography, video, and audio is not permitted during a recess in the court proceedings. That means when they take a 10-minute, 15-minute break, when they take a bathroom break, when they go to lunch, whatever, you can't just start streaming and broadcasting in the courtroom. Recess means anytime the judge is not on the bench or is not on the record. No electronic devices shall record the audio or video of any bench conference, sidebars, between the court and counsel, nor any conferences between an attorney and client or conferences among counsel. No live broadcasting, transmitting, or streaming from the courtroom is allowed. That's the second time they've said that, and it's not any clearer. Restrictions on video and photographs. No video or still photography shall be taken of any papers, documents, or notes. And we saw that in the Dean trial in Texas. Was it Florida or Texas? Can't remember where Dean was. There's so many people being charged with so many crimes. I believe it was Texas. Yeah, it was Texas, wasn't it? Anyway, in the Dean trial, the camera was like always panning and focusing on like the defense's table and showing their computers and stuff. That's not supposed to happen. That's sort of a violation of your attorney-client privilege rights and your right against self-incrimination and your privacy rights. It's just a bad thing. So this is saying no video or still photography shall be taken of any papers, documents, or notes which may be located on or around counsel tables or used by counsel. No video or still photography shall be taken of the victims' families or defense family without their express permission. Ooh, what do you think Steve is going to give permission? See, that's one thing we see every week now. On Thursdays, we do the O.J. Simpson trial. O.J. Simpson trial was one of the first gavel to gavel, start to finish live televised court proceedings that there was. There were a few before, but this was sort of the beginning. This is the O.J. Simpson trials where court TV got its start and things like that. And if you watch that, which I invite you to do every Thursday is O.J. Simpson Day here on Legal Vices. Go watch that with me, and you'll see that the court is always focusing on the families, the victims of the families, Ron Goldman's family and Nicole Brown Simpson's family. The camera's like always focusing on their reactions. So they're saying you can't do that unless they give you express permission. And then interviews, reporting, and vehicle parking. News conferences, interviews, or reporting is prohibited inside the courtroom or courthouse common area. News conferences, interviews, or reporting in the courthouse parking lot or on the court grounds is prohibited during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Any news conferences, interviews, or reporting from the courthouse grounds shall be done in a manner to not impede foot traffic, obstruct access to the courthouse, or interfere with the daily operations of Latah County. Media vehicle parking is prohibited in the upper courthouse parking lot during the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. In addition, any interviews, media reporting, or media parking shall be subject to any additional orders. Media inquiries, you can make your media inquiries here. ICAR rules 45 and 49. Blah, 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 blah. Security officers may quiet or disperse members of the public or media so as not to hinder our members of the public and court staff from having access to the building, the clerk of the court's office, and any other courtrooms or offices in the buildings. Disruptive behavior is our last one. Any activity or behavior which is considered disruptive by the court will result in removal. Any spectator who creates a visual or auditory disturbance of the court proceedings may be removed from the courtroom and or the building at any time at the discretion of the court security personnel. So let it be written, so let it be done, says Ramses III. All right, what if Yellowstone erupts? If Yellowstone erupts, that courtroom would be vaporized. That's what would happen. You have no clue well, maybe you do, but most people have no clue how big that Yellowstone caldera is. You would lose Wyoming, Colorado, Idaho, Utah, and probably parts of Washington and Nevada and Montana. Oh yeah, Montana would be gone too. Yeah, you would lose a significant portion of the United States if Yellowstone erupts. That is a big ass volcano caldera there. Yeah, see, that's what we're not sure. Does that mean it's going to run on a, where'd you go? That wasn't it. Sorry. Will you stream status hearing of Bryan on Thursday? That will be like 2 a.m. my time is when that'll happen. So I will I'll try to stay awake. But again, they're not going to televise it while it's happening. So which means it would probably start at 3 or 4 a.m. The chances of me streaming it live are not good, but I guarantee you we'll do it on Friday night. Whatever my Friday night, your Friday morning in the States. I will definitely be talking about it. If there's video, we'll be showing the video Friday morning. Here it was. Widget 81 says, can it just run on a delay? That's what we need to figure out. Does this no live broadcasting from the courtroom? Does that apply to the pool reporters, the pool cameras, where they'll just have to record it and then delay it? Or does it just refer to the other media in the courtroom and the pool reporters can continue to send it out over the air? Yellowstone is not a nuclear bomb. It's not, because the devastation that would happen from the Yellowstone caldera erupting would be many, 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 many hundreds, if not thousands, of nuclear bombs going off. Anywho, just go look up the Yellowstone caldera and you can see how big that thing is. Yes, foreign native is correct. It is far worse than a nuke. It is far worse than hundreds of nukes. Yeah. So with that, let's get let's see. I think we're all seem to be all caught up on the super chats. Let me just make sure here. The power of Christ compels you. Yes, thanks. Greta is being missed by Flux. Snuggle puppies. Go. Want the goat. We are all caught up on the super chats. That is good. We don't have to delay proceedings for that. How are we doing here now? We've got 1,259 people here already. Wow, that's really great. Thank you guys for being here. And we have such a huge group here, and you guys are so awesome about hitting that like button and hitting that subscribe button. We've got 1,178 likes right now. That is huge. That is such a big thing. Thank you so much for that. And thank you, Corn Pope, for suggesting we do fun things like these polls. Our poll today, yeah, get ready for it because here it comes. Hit that subscribe button. Now, what are the numbers? So far, we have 1,030 votes and 1,197 likes. So that means either everybody that's hit like and subscribe hasn't done it, or you've hit subscribe or only hit like, which means you don't have the right to take the poll. You have to hit the like button and be subscribed to do that. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you're subscribed. And then like it, and then go hit the poll. And our poll today is I hit the like and I hit the subscribe button. I hit like first and subscribe second, or okay, right now we have I hit subscribe first and like second is at 3%. I hit like first and subscribe second is 5%. 63% of you taking the poll said I've already subscribed, so I just hit like. And then the remaining 28% of you that have taken the poll said you hit the like button and the subscribe button because
we are mediocre.
Boomer. Yeah, let's try that again. 28% of you said you hit the like button and hit the subscribe button because
the power of Christ compels you.
One more for good measure.
The power of Christ compels you.
All right. There we go. That's our poll for today. So hit that like, hit the subscribe, and do that. Let's jump right back into this. Now we're going to look at a University of Idaho where these murders happened. A University of Idaho law professor is going to give his comments on this gag order. Where did I get that video? It's from a movie, obviously. What's the movie? Can't remember the name. Dang it. The movie just skips my head. It is just fled my head. All right. Hey, that rhymed. All right. Hey, the University of Idaho professor commenting on the gag order from a University of Idaho. This is the last time I get to use this month. Attorneys and police not allowed to talk to public or media about the murder case. Yes, we know that. We've gone through this. Let's see what the University of Idaho professor has to say about this. Let's embiggen this so we can all read it. Embiggen. There we go. Boop. This is Samuel Newton. He's a University of Idaho law professor. Many questions surrounding the November 13th quadruple homicide in Moscow were answered when the probable cause affidavit, which details the evidence leading to the suspect's arrest, was released Thursday. However, there is still plenty of mystery behind the deaths of Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves. For example, the affidavit doesn't state whether the suspect, Bryan Kohberger, allegedly had a motive or a relationship with any of the victims. Again, these probable cause affidavits, they contain the bare minimum required to ensure they get an arrest warrant. Not everything they have is in that affidavit. So I'm guessing they have lots more impressive evidence than is mentioned in that affidavit. But again, time will tell. We'll just have to wait and see what's released to the public. Presently, the public and media cannot look toward law enforcement for answers. Why? Because the Latah County Magistrate, Judge Megan Marshall, signed a non-dissemination order, or gag order, prohibiting police and attorneys from publicly talking about the case, which has made international news. University of Idaho professor Samuel Newton told the Daily News on Friday, where'd we go? Sorry, I just clicked the wrong button and my screen jumped. Okay. Told the Daily News on Friday that this is part of a balancing act the judges have to perform during a high-profile case like this. So this is kind of what we were just talking about. He said that they're balancing act for the rights of the defendant, Kohberger, with the rights of the free press. Again, we said that's what we talked about. He have the right to make sure he has a fair and impartial jury, giving him a fair trial. But we also have the right to know what's going on in our courtrooms. He said their balancing act. Newton, who teaches criminal law, said the publicity can risk making the trial unfair for the defendant by influencing the jury and the attorneys. He said it has its roots in the 1966 Shepard v. Maxwell, where heightened media attention was a carnival atmosphere during the trial of Samuel Shepard, an Ohio man accused of murdering his wife. Those of you that come and watch my OJ stream on Thursdays know that Sam Shepard's lawyer that was instrumental, that was representing him when his conviction was overturned, was F. Lee Bailey, who was on the Simpson defense team. So yes, here where he talks about the Shepard v. Maxwell case, there was a carnival atmosphere. The judge determined he was denied a fair trial because of the circus, the media circus, the carnival atmosphere around this case. And F. Lee Bailey, one of the greatest defense lawyers ever to walk planet Earth, who was also O.J. Simpson's defense counsel, was the man who was responsible for getting the Sam Shepard conviction overturned. Newton said a judge has to determine if the case is being tried in the media instead of the courtroom. It's wrong if the court lets publicity take over the whole trial. We kind of saw that happening in OJ. The publicity sort of seemed to take it over. You had the judge who was collecting hourglasses on his desk. People who were talking about the whole world is watching us. It shouldn't be the whole world. It should be the jury. So yeah, they don't want that to happen again. However, it is also wrong if the court completely prohibits information about the trial, Newton said. Judges have to avoid going too far in one direction or the other, he said. The gag order does not prevent the media and the public from attending Kohberger's hearings. The courtroom was packed with reporters, as well as members of the Goncalves family during Kohberger's initial appearance in front of Marshall on Thursday. A select few news cameras were allowed to film the proceeding. While Newton could not say this with total certainty, he said it is rare but not unprecedented for a judge to ask the attorneys and the police to not talk to the press. Newton said it's up to the judge to determine how long the non-dissemination remains in place. He said District Court Judge John Judge will make that decision if the case is bound over to him. Yeah, so the judge, that had it now, she isn't going to be the judge that handles the actual trial. Usually goes to other judges. A status hearing for Kohberger scheduled for Thursday. We know that. Newton has been following the investigation and said this case has left the community with a mix of emotions, including both a sense of grief over the victims' deaths as well as a sense of relief over the arrest of a suspect. Out of this terrible crime has come a sense of community, a sense of solidarity, he said. The court recently released other documents related to the case in addition to the probable cause affidavit. Marshall signed an order to preserve the crime scene on 1122 King Road, which means the house will be locked and crime tape will remain. The crime scene will remain preserved until February 1st or until further order from the court. All samples and evidence collected are going to be preserved per this order. Now, there's only a couple more things I want to talk about here before we wrap this up. We've already gone 2 hours. Darn it, I was hoping to get through all of this in 2 hours. I'm gonna try to push it all through in the next 30 minutes. So bear with me a little bit longer because I want to talk about the knife, and the knife case, the knife sheath, and sort of what that might mean, what some people are interpreting it to mean. And I want to just talk about how this is a case study and how advances in technology have changed the face of investigations. And someone earlier, why didn't why didn't somebody call 911 initially? MD, why not? Why didn't it happen? Why did you wait like a lot of hours? That's something we're going to talk about. And then what questions remain? There we go. That's where I want to get through. I want to get through this in the next 30 minutes. So let's burn through this here. Got 2 super chats to get through, and then we'll jump right back into it. Just pop in here real quick. Corn Pop says, grounds. Thanks. This isn't a super chat, it's just a regular chat, but it's an important question. When will the trial be? A long, long time from now. I would be surprised. I would be very surprised if you see this go to trial in 2023. Just gut feeling, probably early to mid next year. That's about average, I would guess. Yeah. But we'll just have to see. There could be a speedy trial. There could be, who knows, a plea. Who knows? We'll just have to wait and see. But if it goes to trial, I would not expect it to go to trial this year. Well, see, Criminy raises something here. She didn't call because she thought he was just another guy. See, that's something that I've thought about. But she said she was scared, I believe. She locked herself in a room. But this is a party house. So I wonder how strange is it for someone just to be walking through and going, yeah, see ya. And he wasn't wearing like a full ski mask. It sounds like he was just wearing one of the, the viral masks, the virus masks, we'll call it. It seems he was just wearing one of those that covered his nose and mouth. You can still see his eyes and eyebrows. So I don't know. We'll just have to see. I'm sure she's going to be a witness at some point. Yeah, maybe thought it was a frat. I don't think you should think it was a frat prank. It's either a killer, it's the DoorDash guy, but the DoorDash guy wouldn't come in the house, or it was maybe someone, who knows? Daryl Brooks, attorney on call. All right, let's get into this here. Right, share the screen. Really quickly here about the knife sheath, I tend to agree with. The tan leather knife sheath found next to the bodies of 2 slain University of Idaho students could indicate that the killer targeted them, according to a forensic expert. Okay, fair enough. I agree with that. Kaylee Goncalves and Maddie Mogen, both 21, were found in bed, stabbed to death November 13th on the 3rd floor of a rental home in Moscow, Idaho. Moscow Police Department Corporal Brett Payne noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath lying on the bed next to Mogen's right side. The document names Bryan Kohberger, a 28-year-old criminology student at nearby Washington State University, as a suspect in the quadruple homicide. I think that's where the attacks initiated. Okay, we read this a little bit earlier. It goes to the progression, and it goes to who the target was. This was perhaps the specific location he is bound for. Mogen described the moment the alleged killer's murderous rampage may have begun. It's a very dramatic thing when you think about it, he said. He's near the bed, grabs the handle of the blade, flips that button on the sheath, while his other hand drops the sheath in the bed after drawing the knife. The other 2 victims, Xana Kernodle and Ethan Chapin, both 20, were found stabbed to death on the 2nd floor. The sheath was labeled with a K-bar and USMC and had a United States Marine Corps insignia stamped on the outside, the affidavit said. The Idaho State Police Lab later identified Kohberger's DNA on the button of the knife. Can you imagine just the serendipitousness of that? And again, this is not all they have. This can't possibly be all they have, but they identified the DNA from the button on the knife sheath. where you just like flip the button open. That's pretty impressive. Morgan called leaving the sheath behind a gigantic misstep that provided police with Kohberger's DNA and could lead them to the source of the weapon. After Kohberger and his father drove more than 2,500 miles to the family home in Albertsville, Pennsylvania, for winter break, investigators recovered trash from their house. A DNA profile developed from a piece of garbage belonged to the biological father of the DNA profile found on the sheath, the affidavit says. C.C. Moore, chief genetic genealogist at Parabon Nanolabs and the founder of DNA Detectives, said the DNA evidence left on the sheath is likely touch DNA, which comes from skin cells. The defense attorneys are probably going to argue that the DNA could have been transferred, she explained. Touch DNA can stay on something for a very long time. Kohberger could say he sold or gave away a similar knife with a sheath. Yeah, it kind of sucks when you look exactly like the defense, like the description that was given about you. It's still strong evidence in conjunction with everything else. And again, the everything else is the important part. That is not the only piece they have. We've said it a bunch of times. We'll continue to say it. The affidavit contains the bare minimum necessary to get the arrest order. Police may have much stronger DNA evidence from the crime scene, such as Kohberger's blood, that they didn't disclose in the affidavit. Exactly. Criminal defense lawyer Mark Garagos noted that while the DNA found on the sheath is significant, there's a lot more DNA work that still needs to be processed and analyzed. The fact that there was a DNA single source, it looks like on the sheath, and the way that they tied it to the suspect is they rummaged through the trash in Pennsylvania, and they did a comparison and found that it would not exclude the father to a pretty good number. Yeah, that pretty good number is like 99.99998, I believe, percent that it was him. He also said that the investigators went to great lengths to place a phone and vehicle belonging to Kohberger near the crime scene in the early morning hours of November 13th through records obtained via search warrants. Yeah, it's looking rough for him. I do not envy the defense lawyer in this case already. And I can just see it getting a lot worse. Kohberger's vehicle, a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra, was spotted on surveillance footage near the crime scene between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m., the time of the murders, the affidavit says. His phone pinged at his residence in Pullman, 8 miles from the King Road, just before 3 a.m. and went dark until 4:48. His phone later pinged near the crime scene after 9 a.m. on November 13th, hours before police responded to the house, according to the affidavit. Police have not disclosed a motive for the mass murder, or a connection between the alleged killer and victims. Well, okay, that kind of begs a question. That raises a question here. Why would he leave that weapon there? Why would he leave that sheath there? Why would he do that? It makes no sense. Why would he do this? Well, there's a thing called Locard's exchange principle. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of Locard's exchange principle, but it's pretty fascinating, and it was developed quite some time ago. It's a forensic science term that the principle of this is that a crime is committed by someone. And when that someone commits a crime, the perpetrator of a crime will bring something into the crime scene and leave with something from it. Something is exchanged in the commission of crimes. And both the thing that they leave at the crime scene and the things that they take from the crime scene can be used as forensic evidence in any trial. The basic principle for forensic science is there was coined, I guess, by Locard, he was a French guy. We call him the French Sherlock Holmes. Is every contact leaves a trace. With contact between two items, there will be an exchange. A man named Paul Kirk, he expressed the principle this way. Wherever he steps, wherever he touches, wherever he leaves, even unconsciously, will serve as a silent witness against him. Not only his fingerprints or his footprints, but his hair, the fibers from his clothes, the glass he breaks, the tool mark he leaves, the paint he scratches, the blood or semen he deposits or collects, all of these things and more bear mute witness against him. This is evidence that does not forget. It is not confused by the excitement of the moment. It is not absent, because human witnesses are. It is factual evidence. Physical evidence cannot be wrong. It cannot perjure itself. It cannot be wholly absent. Only human failure to find it, study it, and understand it can diminish its value. So that's this Locard's exchange principle. Anytime you go somewhere, you're leaving marks, you're leaving traces of your presence at that location. And when you leave, you're taking pieces of that location with you, passively or actively. And this trace evidence is any type of material taken from a crime scene or the result of the contact between two surfaces. Shoes, leaving footprints in the blood staying on the bottom of a shoe, in between the patterns on the shoe, in between the tread on the shoes, video recordings, photographs, things like that. These are all things that are given and taken unconsciously or consciously during the commission of a crime under this Locard's exchange principle. So is this just one of these serendipitous things that what he happened to leave unconsciously was a sheath from the murder weapon? I mean, I think you read up on Locard's exchange principle. It's a really fascinating forensic science principle, and I quite enjoy it. And I mean, I haven't thought about it in years, but now my fascination has been rekindled again, and I intend to look a little more into this. So Locard's exchange principle, check it out. Which kind of segues into this next area I want to talk about. Why this is a perfect case study, as some people are calling it. Because we have so much better technology available to us today to detect, analyze, and interpret this exchange of evidence under Locard's exchange principle. We're able to spot it, we're able to analyze it, we're able to test it, we're able to link it more than we ever have been in history. The fact that anybody commits a heinous crime these days, the reason is just utterly beyond me, because you can't possibly think you're going to get away with it. But people do. Security cameras, internet video streams, cell phone towers. In the days after 4 college students were stabbed to death in their Moscow, Idaho rental home in the early hours of November 13th, police traced the digital footprint of the victims and the man accused of killing them in exhaustive detail. Authorities tracked down the suspect's car in his college parking lot, backtracked his cell phone's movement for 6 months, and even figured out exactly what time one of the victims was using TikTok on her phone. Court records show this. They used a video stream from a food truck to help determine where two of the victims had been earlier, and phone records to figure out who gave them a ride home. While investigators worked long hours to crack the case, technology sped things along dramatically, including thousands of digital uploads processed by the FBI. Without a murder weapon, motive, or anyone seeing the killer's face, authorities were able to make extraordinary use of advancements in technology to piece together the mystery surrounding who they say killed University of Idaho students Ethan Chapin, Maddie Mogen, Kaylee Goncalves, and Xana Kernodle, an act of violence that upended the small college town. I think it just goes to the idea that there is no perfect crime in this day and age, said former Los Angeles County prosecutor Joshua Ritter, who is now partner with Eldabe Ritter Trial Lawyers. It is for the most part a fairly circumstantial case, and building that kind of case requires you to build this kind of tapestry of evidence, which they have done here in a very remarkable way. While experts like Mary Phan, professor at the University of Washington School of Law, called the police work a perfect case study in modern investigative techniques, others expressed caution. Well-known Colorado defense attorney Iris Eaton said she thought the newly released charging documents reflect a police department desperate to make an arrest without considering other possible suspects or exploring why the surviving roommates didn't do more to help their friends. Well, authorities were able to access an extraordinary amount of evidence, allowing them to piece together evidence, to videos and pieces of data to unravel what happened in the early hours of November 13th. You're looking at a combination of newer, sophisticated technology combined with old-fashioned police work. said Howard Ryan, a law enforcement consultant and former New Jersey State Police crime scene investigator. Authorities found the suspect's phone was turned off or put into airplane mode for 2 hours, bracketing the attack. They got cell phone records showing he'd been in the area of the attacks at least 12 times in the previous several months, almost always late at night or early in the morning, the charging documents say. And they got records showing he apparently drove past the scene of the crime the next morning, while the two surviving roommates slept unaware of the carnage around them. The breadth of videos garnered in the probe may have even captured a portion of the attack itself after an audio recording from a nearby security camera picked up distorted audio of what sounds like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud, police said in the affidavit, noting a dog could be heard barking afterwards. And a small army of local, state, and FBI investigators zeroed in on Bryan Kohberger. They also tracked his car's cross-country journey and rifled through his parents' trash to extract DNA evidence they say puts him at the crime scene. Kohberger is a PhD student at Washington State University in Pullman, about 10 miles from Moscow. It was persistent determination and extensive hours spent unraveling this case that led to an arrest. I mean, this is fascinating to me. How all of this technology is going into this. How Idaho police untangled a mystery using TikTok, DoorDash, and cameras. In the hours and days after the attack, police asked area residents to send tips and any video they had. By November 25, they had asked other law enforcement agencies to watch for a white 2011 to 2016 Hyundai Elantra. They first said 2011 to 2013, then they extended it to 2016. 3 days later, a Washington State University police officer working an overnight shift used his access to the university campus vehicle registration database to find a vehicle matching the description. 20 minutes later, a colleague found the car parked outside Kohberger's apartments. So they just kind of go through and they just list all of these amazing things that were done, all these technological advances and searches that were used to track him, trace him, and then link him to the crimes. It's fascinating how far science has advanced. Did we have... Has there been drama in the stream? Has there been drama in the chat while I was reading that one article? Corn Pop's back at it again. Corn Pop, come on, you're better than that. All right, whatever, Corn Pop. Take a breath. Now, the big question that people are asking right now. Hang on, real quick here. Let me see how we're doing here. All right. One of the big questions being asked right now is, why didn't the witness call the police immediately after seeing the guy in her house wearing a mask and black clothing? We won't know until she explains it. But there is speculation. And that's all we can really do. The Idaho murder victim's surviving female roommate likely didn't call for help after coming face to face with accused killer Bryan Kohberger because she may have been paralyzed by fear and confusion, experts told Fox News Digital. The roommate, one of two who survived the attack, faced swift backlash after it was revealed in an affidavit Thursday that she awoke November 13th and looked directly at the alleged murderer as he fled, then locked herself in her bedroom. Yeah, okay. So when a person goes through trauma, they're going to experience flight, fight, or freeze, said Dr. Catherine Coleman, a police and public safety psychologist based in Arizona. Most people in their entire lives won't have to deal with this type of trauma and won't mentally prepare for it. The roommate, whose name Fox Digital is withholding, encountered Kohberger shortly before 4:20 a.m. after he allegedly slaughtered Kaylee Goncalves, Maddie Mogen, Ethan Chapin, and Xana Kernodle. After hearing crying coming from Kernodle's room, the roommate opened her bedroom door, which is on the same floor. The roommate saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. The male walked past the roommate as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The man described The man she described as having bushy eyebrows walked by her and exited the second floor sliding glass door, as she told police. And again, before that, at 4 a.m., she was awakened by what she thought was Goncalves playing with her dog. Then she heard her say, "There's someone here," according to the affidavit. Oh, there's so many questions. After the intruder took off, nearly 8 hours passed before a call was placed in 911. On one of the surviving roommates' cell phone reporting an unconscious person, police have not disclosed who placed that call. Coleman, who primarily works with special responders who have been through mass casualty incidents, say a young woman likely wouldn't pick up on the glaring cues that indicate a crisis situation. Trauma becomes more difficult to process when it's something that is so far outside of our consciousness, it doesn't seem to make sense to us, she said. In this case, no one ever thinks they're going to have this man come into their home and brutally stab their roommates. The other surviving female roommate slept through the attack. Alan Zabel, 50, who owns a yoga studio in Santa Monica, California, knows this phenomenon all too well. In 1992, she lived in a 3-story home with 5 Chi Omega sorority sisters at the University of Buffalo. Zabel found her college roommate near death at 9 a.m. September 5th after the young woman had been brutally beaten and raped by an intruder. "I didn't see any blood," Zabel said. "I thought she had choked on her vomit, and I called 911 and said my roommate choked on her vomit. Only when paramedics arrived did she register for the first time that the entire room was covered in blood." This is an actual thing. And I mean, that's one thing that I've been talking about since this thing first happened was, how do you wake up and just say, "Oh, the roommate's asleep," and they're not waking up? You can literally block out the things that are so far outside the realm of your concept or expectations of what's happening that you literally don't process this. You don't process there is blood everywhere. You just know your roommate's not waking up. As weird as it sounds, there is I mean, it's a real phenomenon, and it's fascinating. And let me there's a great book that I would recommend. I have to pull up the title because the name of it is just kind of slipping my mind right at the moment. The title of the book, let me scroll back through my book list here. What's it called? Dang it. Oh, why can't I find it on my book list? It's something about the mind. Not Children of the Mind. Ah, crap. I can't think of what the name of the book is. It's one of my favorite books, and it's amazing. And I'm having a senior moment right now. But it's a book. Oh God. Why does it do this to me? Why does my brain do this? Oh, see, now I'm panicking. It says I only have one book about mind in my library. That's a lie. Oh no, it's oh God, it has nothing to do with the mind. The title of the book, "The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat." That's what the book is called. The book is called "The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat." It's a book that was written by a psychiatrist, I believe. It was not a psychologist, a psychiatrist who has studied brain anomalies for decades and decades and decades. And it goes through these case studies of these really weird things that your brain does. And this is one of them. How you just literally, your brain does not process something that it's just not expecting to see. The title of the book comes from the story of a guy who there was something wrong with his brain, and he would perceive something as being something completely different. He was looking at his shoes and across the room and thought they were his feet. And then he thought his wife was a hat, and he was like trying to like take his hat off a hat rack, but he was actually like pulling on his wife's head, and he just accepted it. And there's other cases where this woman could only see half of everything. Like she just wasn't processing, I think it was the left side. So she would look at a plate of food and she would only see the right half of the plate. It's not that she would see an empty plate on the left side. She just wouldn't see that half of the plate. It just didn't exist for her. And if she would look at a TV, she would see half of the TV monitor. And so to get a view of everything in the room, she would have to like spin in a circle so that eventually the left side of the plate would come into the right side of her view. But as soon as she passed that midway point, it would disappear. There's so many of these fascinating, weird cases like this about how our brain does things, that this is a legitimate possibility. I would really, really, really recommend. Yeah, that's what I mean. Things like this, it's just something your brain does. Her brain just told her there's no such thing as the left side of anything. And so she never saw it. It's a wild book. Yeah, and you say it sounds like crazy people, but it's not crazy people. It's the wiring in their brain is messed up. Something short circuits in the wiring in their brain and it crosses signals. These were all basically sane people that just had something wrong going on in here. So I would highly recommend that book to anyone who's interested in this phenomenon. The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat. Cool book. All right, so it's so this person here didn't see any blood, and it was only when the paramedics got there that she finally realized, holy crap, there's blood all over the room. 6 hours earlier, Zabel had arrived back to the house, passed by her roommate's door, and called her name. I heard heavy breathing and thought she might be in there with her boyfriend, she said. After crawling into her own bed, Zabel heard someone enter her room and then the front door close. I walked through the crime scene as it was happening without knowing, and the therapist walked me through my room while I was, and the grapist walked through my room while I was in there. Yee. Yeah. So kind of similar here. The grapist walked through her room while she was in there before leaving her house. And I've lived with the guilt of not calling 911 sooner my entire life. Zabel said the surviving roommate may have thought it was someone engaging in a fraternity prank and went into shock. It's a true defense mechanism for survival, she added. Retired FBI behavior profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole said every person reacts differently to trauma based on their background and experiences. She was probably scared beyond belief, O'Toole said. She chose to hide in her room and it probably saved her life. Had she confronted the assailant or rushed upstairs to see what all the commotion was, she may have been the fifth victim, O'Toole noted. Kuhlman said the roommate may have survived, but will have a long road to recovery. It's a triple whammy for her. She has the grief of losing her friends and her roommates, the trauma of witnessing and experiencing the aftermath, and the survivor's guilt of being someone who is spared. So there you go. I mean, that is a fascinating reason why she may not have done this. Yeah, there's a whole section of the book on Tourette's. This the man who mistook his wife for a hat. He was actually the guy that wrote this book was one of the first psychologists. He's a neurologist and a psychologist. That's his first main deal. He's a neurologist, brain surgeon. He was one of the original investigators of Tourette's. He was one of the first ones to realize that Tourette's was a neurological thing. So yeah, if you have Tourette's or if you're interested in Tourette's, read this book. It's fascinating, especially it's just a great book. So there you go. Alrighty. Well, there's lots of questions left, The motive, we don't know what the motive is, but the prosecutors don't have to prove a motive, really. They just have to prove he did it. Why he did it isn't really important, but it does help add to it. It adds to the picture. It doesn't leave the jury going, but why would he do something like this? So it's not necessary, but it's very, very helpful to have a motive. Where's the murder weapon? We don't know where the murder weapon is yet. Again, I think he has it hidden somewhere. If he did it, allegedly, assuming he did it. How did the suspect get in the house? We know he's in the house. We know how he left the house, but we don't know how he got in the house. What, did he wait for the DoorDash guy? Who knows? How would he know how would he know the DoorDash guy was coming? I don't know. We don't know how he got in. fucking walk in? We don't know. We may never know. Why were the other two roommates spared? Again, we don't know. I mean, that's a big question. Why didn't he take out the one who saw him? We may never know the answer to that question either. There's just lots of unanswered questions. And as this goes on, as this goes forward, we're going to get more answers. It may not be for quite some time. There's going to be a lot of speculation for the foreseeable future here. While we try to figure out what happened, while we try to get answers, while we try to make sense of what happened. But there'll be little hints as we go along, coming from the motions and the hearings and things that are released. We'll just have to see how it goes. And we'll have to wait for the information to come. And hopefully the gag orders will be modified at some point so we can get some live coverage. But until then, we'll have to do the next hearing is 9 a.m. Mountain Time on Thursday, which will be late for me. But I will cover it on Friday. If I don't cover it live, I will cover it Friday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern, as well as doing other things. Coming up for the rest of this week, tomorrow and Wednesday, we're going to be doing 2 separate interrogation videos involving Sarah Boone, who is accused of putting her husband somehow into a suitcase, convincing him to get in a suitcase and zipping it up, flipping him over so that he can't escape, and then just leaving him there to die. She says they were playing hide. Her boyfriend, not husband. Sorry, I keep saying husband. Her boyfriend puts her boyfriend in there. She's saying they were playing hide and seek. Yeah. These old folks just playing hide and seek, and then she fell asleep and forgot about him and woke up and he was no longer with us. Some people may take a different view. But we're going to watch the first interrogation tomorrow. It was not really it was more of a questioning that took place outside of her house on the morning that the murder was performed. And then on Wednesday, we'll be looking at the official police interrogation that took place at the police station. Thursday's O.J. Simpson Day. Friday will be an update on the Idaho case, as well as other stories that come up between now and then, and some other things that I want to talk about on Friday. So there we are. That takes us through. And then next Monday, Maritime Monday, will be back at his normal, regular time, barring anything like this happening. So thank you, everybody that's here. How are we doing right now? Right now, we've got 1,351 people here. That is fantastic. That's a huge number. That might be one of my non-Effort Friday highest level concurrent viewers stream. So if it is, congratulations to me, and it's all because of you guys. There's 1,416 likes right now, which is great. Let's see how our poll. We're going to shut the poll down now. No, we're not going to shut the poll down yet because these likes are still pouring in. This is your last chance. I'm going to make a few more comments and then we'll shut down the poll. So now is your last chance to take the poll, which requires, how do I know? Just it's honor system, and nobody ever fudges the honor system. Hit the like button if you haven't already done so. Hit the subscribe button and then take the poll. Tell us, did you hit the like first and the subscribe second? Did you hit the subscribe first and the like second? Were you already subscribed so you just hit the like button? Or did you hit that like button because
the power of Christ compels you?
Well, right now, 6% say hit the like first, 3% of you say hit the subscribe first, 63% of you said you're already subscribed, so you just hit the like, and 27% said you did it because
the power of Christ compels you.
So let's see how that number finishes up. I got a couple of super chats to scroll through here, and then we will call it a night. Where are we going with this? I can't find the super chats I'm looking for. Stupid StreamYard, you suck. We have 1234. Oh, hey, how did I miss that? Corn Pop has a little kitty cat sticker and a a lemon superhero super sticker. Thank you so much for those 2 super stickers, Corn Pop. Deeply appreciated. Now that you've repented of your evil ways, apparently, you have been exorcised. Demons were cast out because
The power of Christ compels you
to stop spamming chat. But I had nothing to do with it, and I didn't learn until after it happened. So don't hate me. And I don't hate my mods either because they're just looking out for me in the stream. Flux says he's going to get away with it and brag about it. Guys, I hope he doesn't brag about it. Well, maybe I hope he does, because then someone in prison will take care of him. And Goncalves' forecast that he's not long for this world may come true, because people in prison don't like it when you do things to young girls. So yeah, I hope. Well, again, I'm torn. I hope he doesn't, but then again, I hope he does. That'd be fun. If he did it. Corn Pop says Daryl Brooks attorney on call. Okay, we got those grounds, says Corn Pop. All right, we are caught up on the super chats. That's the end of the super chats. All right, so let's look at the day in review. Now is the time to answer all of the questions we have about this. What happened today on my stream? Well, as I've just reported, we have currently watching us right now 1,244 concurrent viewers, 1,470 likes. The poll is at an end. 6% of you said you hit like first and subscribe second. 3% of you said you hit subscribe first and like second. 63% of you said you were already subscribed, so you just hit the like, and 27% of you admitted that you are evil degenerates, and the only reason you hit that like and subscribe button was because
the power of Christ compels you.
All right, the poll is at an end. You don't have to hear that anymore for the rest of today. And just in case you missed it, for no particular reason whatsoever, my sheep, who identifies as a goat, scream. All right, and how did we do on subscribers? We picked up what's the number here? 50 subscribers, exactly 50 subscribers during the course of today. You guys are so awesome. Currently, we have 32,750 subscribers. My goal is to get to 50,000 by my 1-year anniversary, which comes up in May. So I need 17,650 subscribers before then. Lawyers can't math. That was just a rough guess, and I hope my answer was right. But yeah, so we're doing great. We just picked up another subscriber. Thank you to whoever that was. Deeply appreciated. Share the videos. Let your friends know we're here. Post it on social media. Send people my way. Let's get us up to 50,000 subscribers. That's the next goal. 50,000 subscribers, and I will do my first 24-hour drunken griftathon. That'll be fun. 24-hour stream, lots of booze and alcohol, lots of friends. That's on tap if and when we get to 50,000 subscribers. Roughly 17,300 left. 17,250 left. All right. So that's it. That's where we are. Show's at an end today. Mods, thank you so much for everything you do. Everybody, my boss... My boss, Corn Pope, is having me tell the rewatch crew to like the video. Say it, Jeff. Yes, like the video. If you're watching through this on the replay crew, like it. If you're seeing this for the first time, subscribe. And I hope you watched all 2 hours and 37 minutes of that to hear me say it. Valhalla Way says, Legal Vices, come on our show. Yeah, when I have time, I'm happy to go on other people's shows when I have time. Just this time zone difference between here and the States is pretty impressive. It's usually like 12 hours. So I go to work and I have about 3 hours before I do my stream, and then I sleep. So the best time for me to go on other shows is weekends. Potentially criminal. But did Kohberger eat anyone? Yawn. Well, that would be ironic with a name like Burger, wouldn't it? But hey, if you need more cannibalism, we've got a cannibalism story we can do. And the Taylor Shabusiness trial is coming up because she took a bite. She took a lick on the knife at least. But could Kohberger eat anyone? He may have had a little taste. Who knows? There's some speculation. Thank you for putting that in my head. Yeah, he ain't no Chandler Halderson, but Shabusiness is. Taylor Shabusiness. She took Halderson to school. And speaking of Chandler Halderson, good. Thank you for reminding me of that. Potentially Criminal Sean. Go to Potentially Criminal Sean's channel and subscribe to him too. His sense of humor is even more irreverent than mine, which is kind of scary. I'm thinking of doing the Chandler Halderson girlfriend interrogation tapes because she was always suspect. Was she in on this? Did she know that her boyfriend had chopped up and just completely dismembered and scattered his parents' remains around the hood? Or was she totally innocent? I'm thinking about doing her interrogation videos maybe next week. Helen T. Maritime Monday is going to be next Monday. So, yep, stay tuned. Maritime Monday will come back next week. So yeah, the girlfriend was hella sus. So I'm kind of thinking we might be doing the I've been toying around with the idea of doing her interrogation videos. I think I sort of thought I was going to be doing that. The Duct Tape Brothers no, the Dumpster Brothers trials. Speaking of that, that's coming up at the end of this month. We'll be doing Potentially Criminal Sean is also doing the Sarah Boone suitcase case. And dude, that idea you have for merch, Sean, Potentially Criminal Sean, if you do not do that merch idea, I'm going to steal the shit out of that. Go to Potentially Criminal Sean, make him tell you what he wants to do for merch for that case. That is the best. All right, guys, I need to wrap this up. It's 12:41 a.m. here. I got a full day of work ahead of me, and then we're going to be back with the Sarah Boone first investigation that took place outside of her house while she tries to explain why two adult people are playing hide and seek. We'll see you all. Thank you, mods, for being here. You guys are great. Thank you, chat, for being here. If chat's not here, there's no reason to do this. Those of you that have us on in the background, come back later. Hit that like button. And those of you that are just joining us through whatever deal, if you've found yourself watching all 2 hours and 41 minutes and you hear me say this, hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Replay crew, you guys rock as well. We are done. Thank you to all of the generous super chats that came in today. Deeply appreciated. You guys are awesome. Love you all. We'll see you tomorrow. Sarah Boone, interrogation, 8 a.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. UK. Don't miss it. And Corn Pop, you come back. Corn Pope, you come back. We love you all. Thank you, Alan, for being here from before the show started until now. Everyone enjoy your legal vices. I'm out.